A new report published by MSN.com says that according to a source, Jamie Foxx was left paralyzed and blind from a blood clot in his brain after receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, the family contradicts this. They say that Jamie Foxx was playing pickleball and everything's fine. Well, this guy, who used to be a columnist for the New York Daily News, says that's not true and they're lying. So, of course, this is trending on Twitter. It's become a big subject of debate. So we must talk about it. And obviously, everybody has their opinions on the vaccine and all that stuff. But I think it is worth noting and looking into the news and the story, considering this is a very high-profile celebrity who was working on a big movie, had appeared in Spider-Man and a couple different Spider-Man movies more recently. So, of course, this is a big subject of controversy, considering the celebrity and the vaccine. But we'll talk about it. And as we always like to say, talk to your doctor about what's right for you, because we're not medical professionals here. We do have a lot more big news considering medical professionals in need. Joe Biden took a pretty serious fall. I felt kind of bad when I saw it. He fell straight to the ground. It looked bad. For someone his age, that could be pretty serious. They're saying he's fine. Even Trump said, I hope he's all right. And yeah, I don't like the Bidens. I think they're nasty people, but I'm not gonna laugh at it. This is sad, man. When he runs up the stairs and he trips, we chuckle. It's like, he's like, because we know he's fine. But this fall on stage was really bad. And when I saw that, I was like, oh man, like, are we like broken hip or something? Like, for real, not funny. I mean, some people are probably laughing at it. And then we've got another big story. The Daily Wire was set to release What is a Woman on Twitter, and they were censored. They posted 2 tweets explaining it, showing this video. Those tweets were censored. Elon Musk's claims that it was a mistake and they're going to be fixing it. And there will be some limitations based on advertising, but it will be allowed. However, according to a few people, they're tweeting about what's going on. Apparently, their new head of safety may have resigned. We don't have confirmation. We're hearing these rumors. And there's also rumors that when they banned What is a Woman, Elon Musk was actually in the room. That's what they're claiming. I just can't believe it. I can't believe Elon Musk would buy Twitter because of the Babylon Bee getting banned over misgendering and then be in a room and be like, no misgendering. It just literally doesn't make sense. So we're going to get into all this news. But before we do, my friends, head over to castbrew.com. Buy our coffee to support our work. Cast Brew is our coffee company. And we have this really cool bag of coffee right here. Look at that, Cast Brew. And I got to say, man, it really is good. I think I am actually impressed with the team and everybody who came together to help source this coffee, produce it. And then I was lucky enough to taste it and be like, guys, this is a really good coffee. Let's sell lots of this stuff. So Appalachian Nights, Rise with Roberto Jr. You can join the Cast Brew Coffee Club. We're sponsoring ourselves because we don't want to rely on corporations that hate us. We don't want to run the risk of having our sponsors cancel on us or anything like that. So we're gonna build it from the ground up. And when you buy Cast Brew Coffee, those resources, when you buy the coffee, are going towards building physical locations that hopefully will create cultural hubs in many different cities where people can walk in the door, order their coffee, and there on the big TV is James O'Keefe doing a report. There's Steven Crowder, there's Timcast, and all of your favorites. So we can create physical locations where people will be exposed to our information and our culture. Also, don't forget to, let me pull this up actually, head over to timcast.com. Click that join us button, become a member to support our work. We're going to have a members only uncensored show coming up for you tonight, just after this live show, so around 10 p.m. It'll be live on the front page of the website. Sign up to support our work directly. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Sara Higdon.
Thanks for having me on, Tim. Thanks for having me back. I'm Sara Higdon. I'm a content creator. I host a YouTube show Monday nights at 7, so I missed Timcast because of that. Yeah, I did it because of you guys. I didn't want to run into you, you know.
Oh, you got to do it early.
Yeah. So it's called Transform to Freedom. It's just under my name, Sara Higdon, on YouTube and Rumble. And I'm also a writer over at Post Millennial and Human Events, where you can go subscribe on Twitter now for $5 and get some behind the scenes content.
Right on. We're big fans of the Post Millennial. I'm always reading their articles and shouting them out and then complaining about typos or something. Then Libby, who comes on the show frequently, will fix it or whatever. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out. Should be fun.
Thank you.
We have Josie, the redheaded libertarian.
Hi, everybody. My name is Josie. I am the redheaded libertarian over on Twitter. And I also do outside media work at timcast.com. So you can go over there and smash that join us button and support our work.
Right on.
And I am the magician. They say a magician that's lost their magic is just called Ian. You know, that's the suffix there.
I get it.
Yep. And
Awesome.
It took like 2 seconds. Hey, hi, everyone.
A record for me.
Yeah, that was great. I didn't make it up. Thanks for the joke. Hi, everyone. Let's get started. Hey, Serge, what's happening,
Yeah,
man?
that was a good one.
Thanks,
I was not expecting that at all. Anyways, I'm Serge.com. I'm excited. Let's do it.
All right, let's jump into this first story from MSN.com. Health shocker. Jamie Foxx left, quote, paralyzed and blind from blood clot in his brain after receiving COVID-19 vaccine, source claims. Now, right there, those two words should send off alarm bells for you, because I don't know who this source is, but what we have is basically a columnist formerly of the New York Daily News, saying that his source has confirmed to him these things. So it is a reporter saying, I have a source. That's never usually good enough for me, to be completely honest. So take this all with a grain of salt. Jamie Foxx's family claimed that he actually was recovering in and out of the hospital and was playing pickleball. So paralyzed and blind is a bit extreme. And so I see this story trending, and I just want to say, be careful with it. Because if you run out the door and I say, haha, it's true, because it's tens of thousands of people tweeting about this, and then a week from now he shows up and he's like, man, y'all are crazy. Like, none of this is happening. You're going to look really dumb.
Yeah, partial paralyzation and blindness is possible too, like a little bit of loss of ocular ability, and maybe it's harder to move an arm, but he could still get up and play pickleball, so it's possible that all three are true.
But dude could have crapped his pants. You know what I mean? Like, what we heard about it is that he was on the set of a film, he had some kind of medical episode, and he's been in and out of the hospital. So it's been very secretive. And just like that football player, you remember that guy who
Damar Hamlin?
Yeah, he fell down in the field, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's paralyzed or whatever." And then, sure enough, he literally shows up on TV, totally fine. You had Fetterman; they reported that he was reportedly brain dead, and he's back. I mean, he's still struggling and everything, but he's as he was before he went to the hospital too. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying be careful with this stuff. Take it with a grain of salt, and talk to your doctor about what makes sense for you. Find good doctors. Don't rely on the internet for medical information. But I do think the story is still very interesting. And because it's trending, I think we should talk about it. So we have this story. They say horrific. And to stress this point, I want to make sure everyone at YouTube and all the liberals and all the leftists and all the big pharma sycophants see this. This is MSN.com reporting this. And they are certified by NewsGuard 100 out of 100. So if I can't use this as a source, I don't know what to tell you, because we're gonna. Here you go. Horrific health details have been revealed regarding Jamie Foxx's mysterious medical state. The Django Unchained star is said to be partially paralyzed and blind, in addition to a series of other complications after receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. Hollywood journalist A.J. Benza claimed after speaking to a source close to Fox, quote, Jamie had a blood clot in his brain after he got the shot. He did not want the shot, but the movie he was on, he was pressured to get it, confessed the podcaster who formerly worked as a columnist for the New York Daily News, as well as the host of the E! Series, Mysteries and Scandals, during an appearance on Dr. Drew Pinsky's online show, Ask Dr. Drew. Quote, the blood clot in the brain caused him at that point to be partially paralyzed and blind, Benza alleged, as he insisted his insider was someone in the room with firsthand knowledge of Fox's hospitalization. I am thinking, is that why he blew up on the set a week before his medical emergency happened? The veteran journalist asked Pinsky. Is that why he fired 3 or 4 people because he has had it with these mandates? Foxx was admitted to the hospital after suffering a medical complication on Thursday, April 11th, although specific details on his current health status have been difficult to discover. The 55-year-old's medical woes mounted while filming his latest movie, Back in Action. The movie, also starring Cameron Diaz, has moved forward with production without Foxx, using a body double in his place. So they do go on to stress that his daughter, Corinne, said that he was playing pickleball, saying, sad to see how the media is running wild. My dad has been out of the hospital for weeks recuperating. In fact, he was playing pickleball yesterday. Thanks for everyone, prayers and support. We have exciting work announcement coming next week. So this guy then says it's all lies and baloney. If you read into what they were saying early on, quote, he is communicating with us. That doesn't mean talking. That could mean anything. Writing, sign language. I know those little code words. Benza continued to assume Fox's current capabilities. Then you tell me your father is playing pickleball? Give me a break. There's a great shot of secrecy around Jamie Foxx. So we don't know, right? What we do know is I think we have TMZ reported he's doing physical rehab in Chicago, family by his side. And we don't know exactly why, but why he's at the facility, what his medical issue was. They say, well, we don't know exactly what happened to Jamie or why he's there. We know the facility specializes in stroke recovery, traumatic brain injury rehab, spinal cord injury rehab, and cancer rehabilitation. They say there's no reason to believe that he has cancer. But to be completely honest, if we're just speculating at this point, maybe his medical episode was related to cancer. I have no idea. But welcome to big celebrity news trending on Twitter. What happened? And I want to throw in there Eric Clapton real quick, who his hands were partially paralyzed and he freaked out after he got the vaccine. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that if they have a body double in the movie, then he's got some serious health issues at the moment. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had to get a body double to do the job.
Well, he's clearly... I mean, his daughter is saying, what, he's out of the hospital now?
Yep.
Yeah, if he's able to play pickleball, he would be able to star in the movie, though. So that whole pickleball narrative doesn't make sense if they have a body double for him for the movie. And the fact that they're saying that he's in rehab, whether for whatever reason, yeah, I think that there's something going on. Maybe it's not necessarily the COVID jab related, but it could be something else. I mean, it's something.
There's something in the language that makes it sound like, yeah, he could have had a blood clot and he could have had paralyzation, but now he's recovering from it. So no, he doesn't have that because they could have fixed it. I mean, the language is interesting, the way that the article's written and the way that the daughter talks about it. Sounds like something bad happened. They fixed it and he's recovering from it. So no, he technically doesn't have that. Currently right now at this moment, playing pickleball. I mean, I'm looking at the things that this place specializes in. If you have a spinal cord injury, you're not playing pickleball. So that leaves the other serious things. So
unless, and it's just 2 weeks of rehab and then he was back to playing pickleball? Or is he like in a wheelchair with one arm slumped over playing pickleball?
Definitely sounds contrived.
What is pickleball anyway?
So it's tennis. Oh yeah, it's kind of
it's something old people play.
This is
I play pickleball.
Combines elements of tennis, badminton, and table tennis.
No, I do. I love playing pickleball. We play at the gym. It is kind of like a table. It's like a table tennis mixed with tennis, but it's a smaller court and
like beach tennis almost.
I've never played beach tennis.
It's like that. Yeah, it's those big wooden paddles, right?
It's small. Well, it's really small paddles, and you actually play with like a wiffle ball, and you can get those things moving though.
I think I've seen this.
Yeah,
I feel like I've seen this.
It's just a smaller court, but you got to move, and even if you're playing doubles, you got to move.
Do you do that at the home, Sarah?
No, I do it at the gym.
It's possible that Jamie Foxx loves pickleball and that in his recovery wants to get out there and play, even if he's playing poorly, just to get his motor skills flowing again.
What if he's like in a wheelchair and he's just like slumped over and they put the pickleball thing in his hand and he's not moving and they're like, he's playing.
Dude, he's one of my favorite actors, man. This is a horror story.
Yeah.
I thought he was great in Spider-Man, to be honest. And then
everything he does turns to gold.
He played Ray Charles. Did you guys see that?
Oh my God, that was brilliant.
I've only seen clips, but good Lord, the man's amazing. I'm Wanda from In Living Color. I was watching some Keenan Ivory Wayans earlier today.
Even his music's fantastic too.
Mm-hmm.
He's a trained pianist. He went to college for piano.
Wow.
And that's why he nailed the audition. With
Ian really
Ray.
likes Jamie Foxx.
There's a show called The Masked Singer where they have people dress up in like furries and sing. And every single year that they have this, every single person who's a male that sounds amazing that sings, they're like, that's Jamie Foxx. That's their person. It's almost like a running joke now at this point that
he's definitely got the voice.
I've got like this love. I remember on In Living Color, I don't know if you guys watched it in the beginning, late 80s or something. He came on as the new guy like in the second or third season, and he was like the kind of the outsider, had to figure out, am I even funny? Everyone's like, who is this guy? He's a joke. And then he made that Wanda character where it's like that cross-eyed woman with the blonde wig he's playing, and he's always like Tommy Lee Davidson's like, ah! He wants to make out. And after that, he won my heart. And it was like just this the new guy. He overcame being the new guy to become one of the greats of all time. I love you, Jamie.
Oh, I mean, the going blind after playing Ray Charles is a little bit
apropos.
Ooh, that's.
I really do think there's a strong possibility he's going to show up in like a week completely fine.
I hope so.
And be like, dude, this gossip stuff was clickbait. Whenever somebody goes private for whatever reason, then people just run whatever they can because it's going to generate traffic. And we were actually thinking, which medical story do we run? Joe Biden collapsing on stage and falling, he tripped on a sandbag, I guess, or Jamie Foxx. And it's just like this story is picking up steam because it hits all those buzzwords. It's got everything. It's got a celebrity. It's got a movie being shut down. It's got COVID vaccination. It's got mysterious illness. So everybody wants to know what's happening. And then everyone's giving you the most sensational output possible. And I'm like, maybe But don't be surprised if in a week he comes out and he's like, man, y'all are crazy.
I hope he does.
Yeah,
I want to be
seriously.
wrong.
But think about how you let it off, though, too. This is the mainstream media. So and they're running, anti-COVID vaccines, which is the exact opposite of what they would have been doing a year ago. So that should give you some confidence that that's possibly what's going on.
That could be some kind of damage control that they're laying. I don't know.
But remember when the football player collapsed, remember they had somebody show up to the stadium and he was like all like dressed in, you
was
never
so
even saw
weird.
his face.
Oh, they did
That's-
the waving from the window. Same thing.
That's why I'm saying I think a lot of this is publicity stunts. Because Damar Hamlin ended up doing a press conference, clearly discernibly him, not that long afterwards. And so what happens is two things. You discredit the conspiracy theorists who are like, aha, we knew. And then all of a sudden he's like, here I am, you're crazy. And it's like, oh, you're crazy. I remember after the Damar Hamlin thing, I was hanging out and I was out at the poker tables. And the people, they were like, dude, he was just waving to the crowd. What are you talking about? I didn't even say anything. I'm not someone who goes out and be like, did you hear the crazy conspiracy? Here's what I believe. I was like, what's going on with that Hamlin thing? Like, they're claiming that he's paralyzed or whatever, or like he fell down. What happened with that? And they're like, nothing's going on. It's all nonsense. He was at the stadium waving to people. People are crazy. And I'm like, how about that? That's what they thought. But if you watched the video, you were like, yo, what is this? It's clearly not him.
Yeah.
But then later he comes out and then you can clearly see it's him. So I think that probably was a publicity stunt. They were like, hey, here, we'll do this. Now that he's sick, we're going to get a lot of hits and we're going to boost his profile, send out someone to act all weird, generate a ton of press and conspiracies, and then he comes out and everything's fine. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised. Not that Jamie Foxx needs press, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Seriously.
The only conspiracy thing I can think of is if the people I'm not saying that they did this, but some company that had created COVID vaccines is like, all right, let's seed a story where it makes it look like the COVID vaccine's the bad guy, but then when they find out that it wasn't the COVID vaccine, we'll be off the hook. And then they'll think all these other conspiracies about the vaccine are also bad, were wrong, and we'll be off the hook. So seed bad info. I don't think that's what happened.
Sounds like a conspiracy theory.
But the whole injury after the COVID vaccine does not imply that the COVID vaccine did this to the guy. It's worded in a way that it kind of insinuates it, but it doesn't mean that. No, I'm not saying it didn't, but it doesn't.
Hollywood celebrity gossip that people want to latch onto. People on the left are saying like, this is fake news, you shouldn't tweet it. People on the right are being like, whoa, this is being carried by MSN. The original reporting is OK Magazine, but MSN, which is certified by NewsGuard 100 out of 100, must have checked it or something, or this is the kind of stuff they put out. So
Microsoft News, MSN, is that what that stands for? Microsoft News?
Just Microsoft.
And Microsoft owns...
I think it's Microsoft Network.
And Microsoft owns the 100 out of 100 fact check company.
MSN.com is certified by NewsGuard 100 out of 100.
Microsoft owns NewsGuard and MSN.
They have a contract with them,
see,
so they
okay.
provide funding.
And Bill Gates.
And
Bill Gates.
But
Push the vaccine.
I don't think Bill Gates is directly involved with Microsoft.
Oh, yeah.
But so there it is. I mean, if the headline says it and NewsGuard certified it, I don't know what else to tell you other than, make sure you're getting sound medical advice from a good medical professional.
And pray for Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about another very serious medical condition. Joe Biden's brain and body, because he is in he is facing very serious, what is it? Senescence? Is that the word?
Senescence.
Senescence?
Senescence.
Yeah. Yes, he's old.
Yeah.
To translate that. Breaking, Biden falls during Air Force commencement ceremony on video. Yeah, this was brutal when I saw this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let's make this a video big so you can watch.
I call this crumpling to the ground.
Yo, that
Oh
was
my
bad.
God, the reaction of everybody.
Oh, and then he can't get up.
Did they cheer?
Yeah, they did.
They're cheering for him.
Some were
I
like,
think they screamed.
Yeah.
Maybe they thought he got shot or something.
Kinda.
He doesn't have the muscle mass to lift
listen
himself up.
See?
Damn.
Screaming, yeah.
That's quite a digger.
Yeah.
Took a digger there.
There's another...
Oh, there's another angle.
There are other angles, yeah.
Really?
Shows a girl walking towards it, watching him fall, then turning and walking away all
Do we have
awkwardly.
any? We just have him falling up the
I think
stairs.
Jack Posobiec tweeted it earlier.
Yeah, let me see if I can find
see.
Posobiec's tweet.
This is rough, man. This is the commander of our military, and who's having a hard time getting himself up off the ground after he fell.
Why did he even fall?
Dude.
Where's the...
Like I said, you can see a black sandbag at the bottom left, and he points back at something when they stand him back up too. So it does look like he tripped over something,
Yeah.
but still, anytime
Oh, I
somebody
see.
that's old trips and falls, it's never. It can cause serious issues.
She's like,
especially
I'm
hips,
out.
You're thinking
Trump's
hips.
reaction.
Yeah.
Here we go.
He's at the Air Force Academy. He actually fell down? Well, I hope he wasn't hurt. I hope he wasn't hurt. But the whole thing is crazy. You got to be careful about that. You got to be careful about that because you don't want that. Even if you have to tiptoe down a ramp.
Oh my God.
Dude, he's so funny, man.
He's tight.
Did you guys see someone retweeted the old article from CNN? It was like, why, what do they call it? It's like, why the ramp story matters. And it shows Trump walking. It's like a smooth metal ramp with rain on it.
Yeah.
What is Trump supposed to do? Run and slide down?
My
like,
favorite articles are when it's like, this proves he has dementia. And then you watch something like that and you're like, he doesn't have dementia.
Yeah.
He is throwing out bangers.
Yeah.
Okay, let's be real. I'm gonna play this video for you guys one more time. We'll zoom in on it.
All right. Oh, all right.
Okay, here's what I want to highlight. All right, let's get the slow-mo replay here. He's standing here. Look at his left leg. His left leg does not go up. His right leg goes forward, and then he goes straight down.
Yeah. So his left leg either tripped over something or he double stepped or tripped over his own foot. Yeah. This guy in the front is having the time of his life.
This dude on the right.
Look at this, right in the front.
smiling.
Oh, he's
It's the
so
biggest
happy.
moment of his
Look at
career.
it, ready? Look at it, ready?
Yes.
He's like, yes.
I mean, he just graduated, so he's getting commissioned.
And the president's right there. I mean,
Yeah.
you know. It's
Oh
not
my
a-
God,
not a-
he is just living the dream right
He's
now.
not a good president,
And
but
then-
still, it's got to be feel good to be
There it goes.
graduating
And that's the scene forever now.
Yeah.
But so here's what I'm saying. You can argue, oh, there's a sandbag on. There was a sandbag on stage or whatever, and it's like, dude, no. No.
Is there any video where we see the ground?
Yeah, you can, if you scroll
Okay.
forward, yeah.
Okay, there.
Just a little bit. Right there. You see the black thing on the bottom left
Yeah.
corner of the
Okay,
screen.
right there. Is
Let
that
me
where he
shrink
tripped?
it. You can see it right
Yeah.
here.
Looks
Why
like
was
it's
there a
holding-
sandbag?
But why did he turn left and just fall?
Yeah.
I think it's an excuse. I think he just fell. He's an old man. Oh, and then he points like, oh, something happened. No. Look. Was his right foot in the sandbag already? Because look at his his left leg. Look at his left leg.
It doesn't. It
He goes
twists.
forward.
It actually twists.
Oh, maybe
And then he
stepped on it.
and then he falls.
It almost looks like he was propping his foot. Like his foot was on the side of his foot was connected to the sandbag, and when he turned, his leg never actually turned. You can see it.
I don't
It
want
starts
to
turning.
I don't want to be too hard on him for falling on stage. I've fallen on stage. In fact, at the Turning Point
yeah.
USA event, I fell
That was
off the
'cause you
stage.
walked off.
I walked,
You walked-
because
you
if
fell
you
off the
don't
stage.
do your diligence before the performance and you don't scout the stage and get familiar with where the pits are, where the
Can't
chords
see.
are, and then
Lights are blinding.
You're looking at the audience. You got bright lights.
Yeah.
It can be dangerous. So you got to know stage presence. But it's his inability to get back up that really concerns me. When
Oh, yeah, let's
he
play it.
tries to lift himself up and can't, and they have to help him up.
Yeah. Well, that's happened when he fell on the stairs too. He was like kept getting blown around by the wind. He couldn't get back up.
Well, when he fell up the stairs, he got back up real quick.
Did he? I thought
Yeah,
he was
numerous times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Old people.
Numerous times he fell up the
Really
stairs.
fast. Really fast. Yeah.
It could be disorienting too. You know, if he just fallen and like didn't really know what happened, and all of a sudden was on the ground and trying to get his, and he's also obviously got dementia. So, just trying to figure out from there, like just being a person whose brain isn't even all there, like what just happened, trying to make his hands go in the right place. And
I want to measure
what I
his
was
grip
thinking?
strength.
I was thinking that the world ended in December 2012. Because I'm just like, and I'm kidding, by the way, but it really does feel like
the Mayans, what it was,
That's
the
the-
prediction was that the world that we knew ended.
and that's a good bit. But I'm thinking about how I can't remember what was going on. We were hanging out somewhere, and I think I was playing Three Dog Night, and then somebody said to me like, "Oh, you're like playing the oldies," and I was like, "Isn't that funny?" I don't know what year. What is Three Dog Night, like late 60s?
Yeah, early
And,
70s.
and I'm like, if you were a kid in the 90s and someone put on Three Dog Night, it was old. Yeah. And it was 25-year-old music. Now, I go to a grocery store, I go to a restaurant, and they're playing Stone Temple Pilots.
On the oldies channel.
And it's just like something happened in our society where everything just stopped being real the way we knew it. And maybe it's just because we didn't live in those times. But like, I look at this video. Here's why I bring it up. I look at this video and I'm like, there's no way this is what the American office of the presidency was supposed to be, right? Like something doesn't make sense. Even Donald Trump was weird.
I have a conspiracy.
You have a conspiracy.
Oh.
when they turned on that atom smasher. They tore open a hole in the space-time continuum and unleashed whatever the hell has happened.
People think that the Hadron Collider turning on triggered the oncoming of Trump. No, it was Biden. It was like Trump was supposed to happen because he's a maverick and he's like Reagan in a certain sense. But Biden, so when I see him fall here, and I'm like, does no one around think something is wrong? Like, dude, this is how many times has he fallen? They're gonna have him run again. It feels like everybody is standing around watching the naked emperor walk down the street, and they're all like, "Oh, how wonderful, how amazing!" And I'm just like, dude, has this country already fallen apart?
I think they have control. They have whoever is really pulling the strings, because it is not him.
I think the opposite. There's no control. They're like, it's 2019. They're like, what do we do? What do we do? I don't know. Trump's going to win again.
Well, they have
Joe Biden.
He's a
like,
puppet.
are you crazy, Joe Biden? I don't know what to do.
He's a puppet of. I would think, honestly. I mean, if I want to go into my other conspiracy about this, it's
a puppet of who?
Obama.
It's
Obama's agenda, and this was his vice president, and so he can't run 3 terms. So
and they tried to run Hillary in 2016.
Yeah. So he's the one pulling this. That's my theory. I could be wrong.
Possible. I mean, a lot of people think that. Doesn't Obama live right by the White House?
Yes.
But I look at this and I just can't believe there's any real organizing force. I mean, certainly there are people with power, but the Democrats have no one. The problem on the right now is that there's too many. Trump and DeSantis are too good. They're both too good. And now people are like, well, DeSantis is bad. No, Trump is bad. And it's like, they're both just really good and arguing about who's better. And then look, even Tim Scott is good. And Kristi Noem is good. I don't think they'll win, but there's a big lineup of high profile people on the right.
Yes.
With 2 major contenders, of course, Trump being the obvious front runner. On the Democrat side, they have nothing, literal nothing.
Gavin Newsom.
But
barely. And they're like Michelle Obama or Oprah.
Yeah. Pete Buttigieg.
But George Soros' son has taken over his legacy as well and has full access to the White House. That came out a couple months ago. So he visited the White House a ton of times last year. So he's basically taken over his dad's White House visits.
George Soros' son.
I'm just saying, when I bring up the music stuff, it feels like there was a cultural cohesion to this country, that things may have been bad at some times. There may have been crime in like the 80s in New York and all that stuff, but there was a cohesion to it. Now it feels like everyone knows it's not real anymore and it's all broken apart, right? Like, how would you... We can describe the 70s. We can describe the 80s. We can describe the 90s. We can describe the 60s. We can describe the 50s. We can describe the changes and when they were coming into place. We can talk about how in the late 60s, the clothing started changing, which became the dominant trends of the 70s. And then the late 70s, clothing started changing. And then we saw the dominant trends of the 80s and, what like hot neon tiger striped hot pants or whatever.
Remind me. God.
And then the 90s with like, flannels and acoustic guitars or whatever.
Jenko jeans.
Jenko jeans with hip hop and all that.
Yep.
Yeah, Jinkos.
And then the 2000s, the 2010s, and the 2020s are a blur of mangled nonsense.
9/11,
I think that was also the internet, and so because the trends used to come from the coast and they'd move inward. So like Boston, California, those would be the trendy places, and that's where the trends would pick up and they'd move inward. But now we have the internet where everybody gets everything at the same time, and all the trends are shifting, and everybody wants to be the next big thing. And what we get is a shit show. We get chaos. So
It all
that's
happens
why.
at once.
Yeah,
Well,
it's completely.
It's information overload. But I mean, what you said earlier, I think that there should be an age limit to when you can run for president, run for Congress, everything like that. I mean, who is it? Is it the Congresswoman who...
Dianne Feinstein.
Yes.
Yep.
Who was wheelchaired into the...
She looks like the Crypt Keeper.
And she asked Kamala Harris, what are you doing up here?
Yeah.
When she was speaking, when she was presiding over the Senate.
She's there to check a box. Yep.
I mean, and she's just... she doesn't know what she's doing there, yet she's casting votes.
Yes.
At the least, a grip strength test of grip strength, because that's like an indication of muscular atrophy. If you can't pick yourself up off the ground, I don't think you're fit to command.
Yeah.
Let alone the mental stuff. That's a little more challenging of like, are you smart enough to do the job? Like, who tests for that?
And I mean, you got to look at, honestly, like after 9/11, George Bush went to ground zero and put his arm around the firefighters. Like, we're going to do it, and he was just this force that everyone, felt safe watching after this horrible event happened. Would you feel safe being in the hands of Joe Biden after this awful event happened.
No, I feel like I got to protect him.
Yes, exactly. That's your instinct. Just as a human being, like, this is an elderly man who's being exploited.
I was thinking a couple days ago, the United States, it's not really a country. It's not a place. It's an idea of a bunch of states that have decided to unite for the betterment of all the states. And we could technically have that all over Earth. Like, we could have a giant states united across Earth, whatever, the United States. Here we are. Now it's just more states in action.
Yep.
I don't know.
This one, man, it seems like the last 20 years, sorry to interrupt, have been a bit, like you said earlier, chaos. I think you mentioned that, chaos.
I don't know if it's true, but there's that line in National Treasure where I think it's Nicolas Cage. He says that before the Civil War, people would say the United States are, and then afterwards they would say the United States is.
In these United States.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because there was an idea that the states were each, what they are, 50 separate sovereign entities with a trade agreement is what the states are. Yeah. But then after that, it became really cohesive, and it was like one thing. So we are the United States. We are one entity. And you think about it, like, the states already blended together. People didn't really understand the purpose of them because of civics not being taught in schools and things like that. People didn't understand this. Right. So now, since COVID, we're getting 50 separate states that you can clearly identify. Like, you're going to go to Florida because they're not going to give sex changes to children, not because it's sunny. Like, you're going there now because the kids are safe. You're not going to go to California because you want to see the Hollywood Walk of Fame because you'll probably get murdered. You're going there now because you want to visit wine country up north where it's safe. So the way that the states work now, we see what they were meant to work at. It's a 10th Amendment thing.
But it's really interesting because, you see that there's so many states that there's very clearly different states. And then we have states with sanctuary city policies and sanctuary state policies to where they won't even extradite criminals to other states.
Yep.
And so how are we a cohesive United States? The only thing that brings us together
anymore.
is that we have a large federal government, which is kind of the antithesis of the 10th Amendment.
Yes, so we are not we're not what we were anymore. We are definitely separating, and this, I think, the way forward is with strong states' rights. I've always said this: like, we're not going to have a national divorce. We're going to have strong states' rights. So these 50 states are going to look like 50 different countries. Is my idea of it. Like, Florida's going to get more Florida, California's going to get more California, New York's going to get more New York because of the voting policies in these states that are not going to allow really any difference, especially in the blue states where anybody can vote and stuff.
But what we have to do is then shrink the size of the federal government to create the better
Absolutely.
system.
We worry about the supremacy clause when it comes to some of the powers that they have, as opposed to the 10th Amendment. Ron DeSantis can do a lot of stuff, but there's a few things that he won't be able to do.
Currency is another indication of the I guess you would call it the diffusal of power of the federal government, because it used to be the American dollar. Yeah.
Yes. But
now we've got crypto.
In the Constitution, states can coin money.
That's epic.
Yeah.
So why don't they?
Yeah, well...
Right? Exactly. Like, hello, like, has anybody read this document? Yeah.
DeSantis bucks.
Yeah, exactly. I would love that.
Ron dollars.
I would invest so hard in those.
Well, you got to be careful, too, because I think both parties would want to go to a crypto-based system, a digital fiat, and that's always a bad idea.
Oh, yeah,
Florida
you don't want the
coin.
federal government doing it at all.
You don't. I wouldn't even want state government to do
I'd be
that.
worried about that. But
What about-
coining the money.
What about Florida coin?
Oh, I would buy Florida coin. Would y'all buy Florida coin?
Yeah.
I would. Local currencies are extremely important, and it's really, really bad that we got rid of them, because what happens now is, if Florida had its own currency, that currency can't leave Florida, meaning economic activity remains controlled within Florida.
Yeah.
So it'd be like visiting Canada, where you go in and you trade in, or
Buy the local currency, then trade.
Exactly.
So here's what happens when you have the national currency. A state like Michigan collapses when the factory leaves, because the money leaves with it. Money is coming from an external source outside of Michigan into Michigan. It is spent by the people of Michigan on things outside of Michigan. If you have a local currency, you have more local production, more local farming, more local trades work and things like that. And then if external sources of revenue cease, yes, the economy may get depressed to a certain degree, but trade still exists between people in that state to solve their problems.
Which is why the U.S. fears so much, too, because with external trade with other countries, our dollar is what everybody trades with.
Right.
And so if we get rid of that, if they go off of something else, then they have control over our production.
This is why Bitcoin is great. But if there were state level currencies, the federal government could not take the tax resources of the people of Florida and then send it to Pakistan for gender studies.
Unless you wanted to
darn.
trade out of state. So the way you do that is you'd have your US dollars. Every state has their own crypto. You go to Florida, sandwich is $5 of US dollars or $4.60 if you spend Florida coin. So I'll buy a bunch of Florida coin when I get to Florida. I'll get a discount, a 7% discount on everything I buy while I'm in Florida. As long as I stay within the state, you've created a local currency. I guess you could give the feds some portion of that tax so that keeps the system flowing. I was
gonna say federal taxes are what kind of keeps everything together. So if you eliminate like federal income taxes, then you would be fine because federal income taxes would have to be paid in American federal dollars, and so you have to know what you're paying in that, and it would just confuse a lot of stuff as well.
Or you could pay your income taxes with Florida coin, but you'll have to pay 7% more if you pay it in Florida coin. So you'd be encouraged to buy your U.S. dollars back to pay your...
Or just you pay your taxes.
Mess that would
you
be.
pay the taxes in Florida coin, and the federal government can spend the money in Florida or to anybody who wants transactions with Florida, and they can't print more of it.
Florida coin.
That's the thing, right? If a state like Florida had its own currency, you could be like, oh, I only earn money in Florida currency, but I'll pay my taxes. Like, here you go, government. And the government goes, we can't print any more of this. So you get what you get. That's a good thing. No more deficit. No deficit spending.
See, this is the way the founders knew what a big powerful government was capable of. I mean, the reason we had the Boston Tea Party was because the largest multinational conglomerate in the world was hanging out like chummy with, it was crony capitalism essentially. It was hanging out with the British government, and they were told that any product that they lose would be reimbursed. They were told they didn't have to pay any taxes on their product, and that it's all coming out of the states. Like this has happened before. This is why the Constitution's written the way that it is, like if we have a decent understanding of history. So they knew what it was capable of, and they put in safeguards throughout the Constitution that would protect the states if there ever became a massive federal government again. And one of those is Florida coin.
I think we had Stephen Marsh on the show a while ago, and he was saying that there's a multicultural democracy and a constitutional republic trying to exist in the same space. And I'm like, I agree with that. And I hope you understand that the multicultural democracy is the parasite that is growing within the constitutional republic and subverting and destroying it.
Yes.
I think
It's trying to inhabit its body and wear it like a skin suit.
the Cultural Revolution. That was like Mao's journey, and it's transfixed itself into our country now through the internet. This mob rule, this cultural mob rule, where it changes week to week. Like what was okay to say last week is no longer okay. Now this word's bad, and you can't do this because the mob says so. And even though it's legal, if the mob gets angry about it, they're going to put the guy away that's not doing anything wrong for his own protection, because the mob, like, no, we're a republic, man. We have law and order.
Yeah, but I do think it's going to get dark. Yes. I really do think so. I think there will come a time relatively soon. I say relatively because who knows how many years it could be, where like a regular person is at their house, they have an American flag, and then one day there's a knock on the door, and they're like, "Can I help you?" And they're like, "Take the flag down or else." Now that's already happened in Portland and Seattle. But I'm saying like there will be elements of authority now knocking on your door, being like, "That's a hate symbol." When you see there's like a viral meme of military cadets or something carrying the American flag, but also pride flags. I'm like, yeah, that's a flag of an ideology. Now, the people here in the United States, however many of them, can look at that and be like, oh, how nice. And I'm like, I see that when I look at that flag, I see the same thing as a swastika. When I go to like downtown Frederick, they have these flags with eagles on them and things like that. I'm like, obviously, I'm not saying that this ideology is identical to Nazism or anything like that. I'm saying it is a flag of an ideology that is infecting the culture and being waved around over the flag of the country. The country is being subverted.
So when there's a Marxist takeover, the first thing that they do is they have to demonize nationalism. And this is about a 20-year process for the study. If you think of when nationalism started being demonized, it's around Obama administration when he first got in. That's when they started demonizing. So it's about a 20-year process. And if you think about how like they started adding the word white to the front of nationalism, to make it egregious.
Or Christian.
Yeah, Christian nationalism. So these are the things that they do in order to support the culture.
I will say one thing that gives me hope is that June, of course, as you all know, is American Greatness Month.
Yes.
And all of these major corporations have started changing their logos to the rainbow, which of course is God's covenant to life on earth, never to flood the planet again. And so I was really surprised to see so many companies just praising the Lord. Wow, that's really great.
I saw that. I saw GE put that in their bio in America, and I mean I'm grateful because that is God's agreement with the people And that's his love.
But-
it's his covenant. Yes. And they didn't do it in Saudi Arabia, and I think maybe because of Allah or whatever.
Well, America's
Yeah.
a Christian nation, so all of these
Exactly.
companies
so
promoting
they're
the
just
rainbow.
being respectful to other religions, which I find just
nice.
so sweet.
But is light pink, light blue, white, brown, and black, is that part of the rainbow now?
Oh no, that's shit. Yeah.
I see these ideological flags being flown by governments and agencies, and I'm like, yeah, that's like the swastika.
Yeah.
That's not the flag of our nation, and there's no reason to fly that flag at government institutions.
Yeah, it's important to remember the swastika was a beautiful symbol when it first appeared in the mid-late 20s in Germany. It was a very hopeful sign of the wheel of life, but the inversion of it, the Hindu symbol, and only when they became psychotic did it gain a psychotic, notation next to it.
There's a building on the south side of Chicago where I grew up that everyone knows about. It's a house, and it's because it's a 2-story house, and on the top of it there is a square that looks like it's like a cross in a square, right? But you can clearly tell that there are wood blocks nailed to it because it was actually a swastika.
I know where that's going. Yeah.
But people don't realize this, that I went to an antique store when I was in Austin. They had swastikas everywhere. And one of the guys who worked there, I saw them and I was like, wow. I was like, you guys don't get flack for selling like swastika banners? And the guy showed me his keychain. He's like, no, I got like 3 right here. And I was like, really? You're not worried about that? And he was like, before the Nazis used it, it was all over the United States. It was a symbol of luck. It was good fortune.
It's thousands of years old.
And then the inversion of it. The original symbol was facing the other way.
Depends which way it's spinning.
But in the US, people would actually line with like wallpaper, swastikas in the top of the rooms and things like that.
I see it in the Loop in Chicago. I would see a lot of that stuff, but it would be the inversion of the swastika.
And then the
like
Nazis
Masonic
used
symbol
it.
or something.
That's incredible.
And then the symbol became...
This is-
I will also add, check out the music video, Handlebars. You guys remember that song?
Oh, yeah,
I
I
can
can
ride my
ride
bike
with-
with no
yeah,
handlebars. And in the music video, the bad guys, the totalitarian regime that's massacring the people in the video, have the BLM fist on their shields as they bang the shields with truncheons and then open fire on the crowd of innocent people. So it's funny how we're talking about, 12 years ago, popular culture, 70 million hits. It was a big song.
Yep.
Shows BLM's symbolism as the evil authoritarian regime. And in that amount of time, we now see they're flying those flags.
One of these things that I feel like you were mentioning that people have, not that people have gone crazy, but the last 20 years or whatever, it's been kind of nuts, is this obsession with words and symbols, as if less about the meaning, but more about the word itself. Like if the actual text is carved into a spot, whoever did that's going to suffer for making that shape on there. It's a word, but what is the intention of the word? What was the meaning of the word? That, like the context, like it's so dangerous to be afraid of a word or afraid of a symbol, as opposed to being afraid of maybe what these people are. Because someone, if they really want to hurt you, they're not going to say bad words. They're going to be very kind and very trusting. That's how you do it, and you're going to use perfectly clear PC.
I can tell you why this happens. It was actually Congressman Massey who said it around right after January 6th. And they were taking the military, and they were having military everywhere, and they had the fences put up everywhere to protect the White House, and they were having the military sleep in, or the National Guard sleep in the parking garages and sleep in, just having all this chaos everywhere that made it look like a war zone. And Congressman Massey said, this is what they do because they know images are going to stay with you longer than anything else. So they are going to show you images, and that's what you're going to remember. So we see these images.
We should jump to this big breaking news. This is going on right now, and we've got a lot to break down in the context of this. The Post-Millennial reports Twitter's Vice President of Trust and Safety, Ella Irwin, reportedly leaves the company amid Daily Wire debacle. So this is huge. Head of Twitter Trust and Safety reportedly has resigned. A report from Forbes stated that she's no longer in the Twitter's internal Slack. Reuters reporter Sheila Dang said that Irwin's resignation was confirmed. Now, this is a big story. What's going on? All right, let's get through this. Timcast.com reporting, mistake. Elon Musk says, what is a woman can stream on Twitter? It's definitely allowed. What do we got here? We have Zero Hedge reporting on the rumor just before the show started that she may have left the company. We've got Film Lad. This one's big. Jeremy Boring says in a Twitter space, that the Twitter people who canceled Daily Wire's What is a Woman said Elon Musk was in the room and approved the cancellation. As of right now, the visibility on Matt Walsh's tweet is still restricted. And my understanding is that What is a Woman, which was posted by the Daily Wire, is still being restricted by Twitter. So the story is the Daily Wire planned, in coordination with Twitter, a special event page to publish the documentary, What is a Woman? At the last minute, they were told that they would not be allowed to run an event page, and that if they posted the documentary, it would be labeled hate speech and limited. So Matt Walsh posted the 2 clips in question that they demanded be censored, and sure enough, those tweets were restricted and were limited. Elon Musk has come out and said that it's all a mistake, and of course it's allowed, but as of right now, what I'm seeing on Twitter, they're still being heavily limited. And if the report is true, Jeremy Boring saying that the Twitter people tell him Elon was in the room. There's a lot of hearsay there. Something's going on. So the question is Elon Musk being forthright when it comes to this issue? And I'm leaning towards no. I like Elon. I think he's doing great work with SpaceX. I can say it a million times. But when he tweeted this was a big mistake and it's being fixed, and it's still not being fixed, I don't necessarily trust Elon Musk. Now, I'm not saying I don't trust him. Just because someone claimed he was in the room when Daily Wire was confirmed to be banned or restricted doesn't mean he actually was. And the fact that the VP of Trust and Safety has resigned, I wonder if what's really happening is that Elon Musk went in there and said, hey, I don't even know if he's in SF right now because he was just in China or something.
Yes.
He might have been like, what's going on and why are you doing this? And maybe they were like, if you don't block this, I quit. And then he probably said, then quit. And she said, fine. So in order for Elon to get in, like, I'll just put it this way. I still will give Elon the benefit of the doubt because he had no reason to tweet in support of the Daily Wire when he did. But Ian Miles Chong was like, it must suck to be Elon. You know, you think everything's going fine. You wake up and everything's on fire. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, not only that, but Elon isn't the one who's doing all of this. Mm-mm. So all of a sudden, everyone on Twitter is screaming, Elon, you've betrayed us. And he's like in a meeting and he comes out, he's like, what's happening? Like, dude, I'm not even here right now. Let me take care of it. It's been only a couple of hours. Now this woman's resigning. It sounds like this resignation shows Elon is taking heavy action to rectify the problem.
Okay, when I lost my page, it was like a month ago or whatever, I woke up and I couldn't log on to Twitter. Okay, reached out to Tim. Tim put something out. He's like, Elon, Josie can't log on to Twitter. And Elon's like, oh, I'm fixing it. He responded, right?
That was weird.
Yeah. Ella directly got me my Twitter account back.
Really?
Directly. Yep. She directly worked with me to get it back.
Why? So this is important because your original Twitter account was mysteriously shut down for no reason.
No reason. Yep. For a year and a half. Yep.
But it was right before you made some prediction or something, right?
It was right after I predicted that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. It was 20.
Right.
Yeah. So what was that?
You tweeted that it was going to be Biden Harris.
Yes. So I tweeted that in January 2019. I tweeted that it was going to be Biden Harris. It's my pinned tweet on my page. You can see it. I said it's going to be Biden Harris. This is what it's going to be. And I said that January 2019. And then on the day of the inauguration, I put it up there and I said, it's going to, I predicted this happened. And like within 10 days, my page was gone. Just gone. I couldn't log in. I was permanently suspended. No reason, no idea why. It lasted for a year and a half. Then Elon Musk on April 26th of last year said, I'm going to buy Twitter. The next day, I got my account back. The next day.
Recently, you were locked mysteriously again. And it wasn't
same exact thing that happened before.
But it wasn't like a normal banning.
No, it was like I just couldn't.
Like your page was just gone. Blanked out.
There's nothing. I couldn't get into it. It was just gone. They didn't know.
So with that though, with what you're saying there, the Ella Irwin, this surprises me because she's been pretty good about a lot of stuff. It's the new CEO that I thought was going to go.
So
yeah. Oh, so maybe her resignation is due to the new CEO.
That could be
they don't get along.
It could be something like that. It could be that she resigned because the people under her did this and she didn't boss them correctly. I'm not sure.
I don't.
She just seemed really good, so that's why
if she was doing right by the users and as to what Elon wanted, and it was underlings who acted up, I'd imagine she would not resign. Mm-hmm. She would come out and tweet and be like, employees here are upset and we're telling them no. I bet this is the new CEO.
Interesting. Yeah.
And because then when she's like, Elon's yelling at me, I'm not doing this. The new CEO goes, I'm the CEO and I'm telling you to do it. She goes, I quit. I'm done.
Oh, that's interesting. Has the new CEO taken taken, like they're working
I don't know.
on it. Maybe he put her in charge when he was in China.
Linda Yaccarino, I believe.
Yeah.
If he's not in the country right now and she's running the company and this is what's going on.
That's very interesting that it could have been what she did immediately, like having the power to do that when...
I mean, Twitter's been slow to change some of the stuff, so I wouldn't be surprised that there's, some people at the lower levels that are still manipulating some of this stuff. Like I was censored from Twitter back in December for saying that gender dysphoria is a mental illness, and I was locked out of my account. And so, but I don't know if that's been fixed because I still self-censor myself from saying that because I don't know if it's going to lock my account again,
Check this out. So this is the Daily Wire's tweet. They say, it's the movie they really don't want you to see. What is a woman? Watch the explosive documentary starring Matt Walsh blog free on Twitter for 24 hours. And I'm going to click this just right here. We got this little retweet button. It's our little retweet button. I'm going to click that retweet button. Why can't you retweet this? We try to keep Twitter a place for healthy conversation, so we've disabled most of the ways to engage with this tweet.
Wow. Health, all in the name of being healthy.
That tweet is so healthy. Like, I feel stronger already.
But this still doesn't make any sense because Elon bought Twitter because of the Babylon Bee, right? Sparked very much by the Babylon Bee misgendering somebody. And they're saying the two scenes were because they were misgendering somebody.
Can you pull up Elon's tweet about it?
It makes absolutely no sense.
I believe I have Elon. I just want to highlight this real quick. Jeremy Boring has quote tweeted the Daily Wire saying, please share this in case Twitter indeed throttles it. I have retweeted his quote tweet, which allows you to share the documentary. So I think What is Woman is a very good documentary. And I'll tell you why. One of the scenes in question that was limited, Matt Walsh is actually arguing from the perspective of trans activists to the shop owner. He's doing a good job as an interviewer. The interviewer says, here's how I feel about trans people. And then Matt Walsh says, but you're not a scientist. Like what, how do you know? And that he's actually taking the points to get his response and reaction to it. He's not just approaching this like, we already have our minds made up and we're going to, he actually says like, hey, tell me what you think. I thought that was very respectable.
I think the documentary was very well done. I've seen it twice now. And what I really like about it, though, is Matt didn't put his biases into it. I mean, it's a bias. It's shaping a narrative into one direction. But what he does is he goes into these interviews and just lets the trans activists just talk. And they show you who they are. And so he didn't have to guide them in a direction. And what Tim's saying is correct. And it's interesting because I actually was last fall, I was doing an event down in Richmond.
I got to interrupt. Sorry, Elon just tweeted, we're updating the system tomorrow so that those who follow Real Daily Wire will see
got it.
this.
Pull it up.
Yep, got it.
So I was doing an event last year in Richmond with no left turn education, and Eventbrite removed that event because we were doing a screening of What is a Woman, followed by a panel discussion with me, a doctor, another human rights advocate, and so we were having a discussion about it, and it was still Eventbrite took the event down. That's the second time, or that's the first time out of two that they've done that to me too.
So people are pointing out that Elon was in Shanghai, so he likely was not in the room. Yes. That doesn't make sense. And the new CEO isn't starting for a month or so, I'm wondering what's happening. But take a look at this. Elon's basically saying, confirmed, censorship on gender issues. Robbie Starbuck tweets, despite Elon Musk promising the Real Daily Wire film What is a Woman by Matt Walsh wouldn't be censored, it seems someone at Twitter staff chose to censor it anyways less than 20 minutes after it was posted. You can't even comment. Whoever did this should be fired. Elon says, we're updating the system tomorrow so that those who follow Real Daily Wire will see this in their feed, but it won't be recommended to non-followers, nor will any advertising be associated with it. Guess what? That's Elon Musk saying we will shadow ban your content.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I see that.
Do you think this has something to do with he just pulled out of the EU agreement, which is about to go into effect next year, that's going to force companies to censor hate speech or not do business in that country?
I think, you know what I think it is? I think Elon sees Twitter. He sees the Babylon Bee getting censored. He's like, okay, this is messed up. He genuinely is like, I'm going to buy Twitter. I think he has legitimate use for it with X. That's why it's merged with X. I think he wants this for his one-stop shop app. It makes sense to buy, add payment processing and video and stuff. And he genuinely thought he could have free speech until the powers that be from the international political leaders came to him. And we saw this with Turkey. He said he didn't have a choice with Turkey. Ban some accounts or the whole app gets banned. And then one by one, the dominoes fall, and Elon Musk is being pushed in the same direction as Jack Dorsey. I don't think he understood the experiences of Jack Dorsey and why Jack went this route. And now Twitter is going to end up being the exact same thing that it was.
Yeah, dude. Elon, you cannot control the One Ring, man. You need free speech. You need to free the software code because you cannot control this.
I explained what was going on, and Elon said exactly when because people were asking me about the EU agreement. I'm going to find that and read it. So everybody knows exactly what's going on according to Elon.
What is it? They're going to ban it in Europe or something?
So, yeah, I'm pulling it up too. I wrote an article about this on Human Events. Last week, the EU Disinformation Agency says Twitter has a legal obligation to comply with oversight program after Elon Musk pulls out. So it was it was a volunteer censorship program essentially, but the EU is, so who is this? This is Thierry Breton, the Europe's Commissions for Internal Markets. The voluntary code is basically going to be put into effect with the DSA. What's the DSA?
Well, I don't know, but I can tell you that I'm going to refresh this from Matt Walsh. I'm pretty sure it's still
the Digital
restricted.
Service Act. So they're implementing the Digital Service Act, and they're going to basically force companies to censor hate speech and other stuff.
This unelected body of European socialists.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not elected by me. You have no sway over what I do and say on this earth, my man. Stay in
This is
Europe.
crazy. I can't retweet Matt Walsh. I wonder if I can just copy and then manually do it. Let's
so
see what happens if I try and do it this way. So what's going on?
Okay, so somebody had asked. This is my conversation with Elon. It says the EU is demanding Twitter censor by August. Is he right or wrong to do it? And I said, this is a good question, and I don't believe a lot of people understand how deep this goes, so I'm going to break it down here. Countries without a Bill of Rights to protect citizens from their governments are threatening total bans of Twitter if they're in their countries if censorship orders are not complied with. Many have enshrined hate speech into law and have also created stringent guidelines for social media operating in their countries. So Elon Musk has two options. One, limiting some material will allow citizens in these despotic countries to access Twitter minus some censored material. Or two, he will limit no material, which means these citizens will have zero access to any and all Twitter material in these countries. So ironically, that's a total ban of Twitter.
This is the exact same thing that happened to Jack Dorsey.
Yes.
And Elon Musk is reacting in the exact same way.
Yep. So he's complying.
Yep.
In January, Musk had a meeting with Breton and said, good meeting regarding the EU DSA. The goals of transparency, accountability, and accurate information are aligned with ours. He said that in January. So this is just him moving that needle forward.
Yeah.
I can't stand that
So-
word accountability. I'm so
Yeah.
tired of these. I'm sorry to interrupt. What were you saying?
No,
These
I was
buzzwords.
going to agree with that.
Oh, transparency, accountability, safety, trust. Like, get your word. What do these words mean? It's another example
They're
of
words
people
to control you.
using letters like a cudgel, but what's the meaning behind
They
it?
mean diversity, equity, and
Yes.
inclusion.
Yeah,
It means I want to
exactly.
control you, but that's not trust. That's not transparency. Show me the code of your software
It's
if you
like
want to be
ringing a
transparent.
bell where we're all Pavlov's dog, and they ring this bell with any of these words, and that just means trust your government.
You know what they are? They're dog whistles to a particular ideology that we all know very well, unfortunately.
Ella Irwin's got that as the first word in her Twitter bio. Trust advocate.
Well, it's meaningless.
Trust? What's trust?
It's a cult. It is a weird cult that they use emotional manipulation to indoctrinate and control.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm talking about with seeing people like military cadets marching in a parade with pride flags. Like, it is ideological capture of a country. The ideological symbol of this country should be the American flag.
Yes.
It is being subverted now by a cult.
Yeah.
And you know what it is? I can't tell you how many people I talk to who are like, leave me out of it.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, well then when they show up at your doorstep,
Yeah, you need technology.
And they're
to
always like, well,
combat it.
we're never going to get rid of the American flag. And everything they says, it's the iron law of woke projection. But you already see teachers in the classrooms who
Doing
get
that.
rid of the American flag
Yep.
and put up the pride flag instead. And that's because these are the activists, and these are the activists that are going to make the policy, and that's what's going to happen.
Well, it's not even the pride flag; it's the progress flag, which
Yeah.
triangle infiltrating on the
yeah.
rainbow,
The chevron.
Yeah.
is very symbolic
Have you
of
ever
an
seen
arrow
them-
just taking over everything.
Have you ever seen them put the pride flag in a?
it makes a swastika.
Yes, it makes a swastika.
Yep.
Yep.
I think the only way to resist is a technological resistance, decentralized software, social media that can't be, well, that's encrypted at the very least, that can't be controlled by a centralized service or isn't built for centralized services. Just like the American Revolution in 1776 was a technological revolution. They used boats and cannons as their technology. We don't need to use weapons. We can use social media, but we need to protect ourselves and resist this economic torment, this insane communist or socialist attempt at controlling the earth.
Did you guys see that Bud Light sponsored an LGBTQ event and a pride parade?
Just after the shit show?
Yes.
I'm surprised they have, but this is the thing is a lot of people are waking up to is all this stuff has been going on for years. It was the Mulvaney effect pushed it into the mainstream. Like Bud Light, Coors Light, all these companies have always had like rainbow cans for pride events and all this other stuff, and it's never been an issue until this year. And now you're seeing it with all these organizations. We talked about, there was I read an article today, it was about PetSmart. So PetSmart has dog toys and all this stuff that's pride stuff, which really I don't care if you put a rainbow flag on a dog toy or anything like that. You're a dog owner, and you're gay or lesbian or bi or whatever. I don't really care if they do that, but the hidden meaning behind it is then they also said that they gave $200,000 to Glisten.
What is Glisten? I've been hearing about it.
They are an organization that basically promotes teachers keeping secrets from parents in school. So that's like their biggest advocacy is working with governments to ensure that that's happening so that, children have autonomy in classrooms from parents. And so teachers can keep those secrets. And that's what they're pushing. So they're pushing the gender ideology onto school. So when you're supporting something like PetSmart, Kohl's, Target, who have been donating millions to this organization, that's what you're supporting.
Let me pull up the story from Yahoo News. It's a story originally from The Advocate. Bud Light pledges $200,000 to support LGBTQ plus business owners of color. They also recently sponsored a pride parade. I'm just going to say this outright. If a company is seeing a 30% drop off in sales, has fallen from the number 1 spot to number 2, has seen a stock drop off of $27 billion. That's billion with a B. And then they double down. That's not a business.
I'll tell you why they're doing it.
That's not a business, because a business is trying to produce a service or product and sell it to people. Bud Light is an advocacy institution. I think two important things. I think American First Legal, I believe it is, I'm not entirely sure. Someone is saying, if you were a shareholder, contact us. This looks like a very serious violation of their fiduciary duties to their shareholders. You may have a legal case. I will also say, well, there's one other thing I want to add to this, but the first is this company, in my opinion, is probably going to collapse to a certain degree if they keep doing this. You can't, they're really crossing their fingers that Bud Light as beer will do better than they don't need it to be a company anymore. It is now they're hoping that it is a solidified, entrenched institution that can never be dismantled, too big to fail. Then they can wear it like a skin suit and use the money you buy for beer to support a cult. Think about that. Bud Light is not a business. It is funneling your money into a cult despite knowing it is destroying their business. It's because they don't care. When the brain slug latches onto your skull, does the brain slug care whether you live or die? That's obviously brain slugs aren't real. My point is, whatever strange creature has gripped Bud Light, it doesn't care if it sucks the innards out until it withers into a husk and collapses, because it is extracting the resources from this once great American institution. They know they're collapsing. Their shareholders know it's collapsing. Bud Light does not care.
Yes, and I know why. There's a name for that slug. It's called CEI.
It's the HRC is that slug that's using CEI, because Bud Light just lost their perfect CEI score, which feeds into their DEI score like last week.
Their ESG score?
I have a viral tweet about it, actually. It's got 35,000 likes on it, so I'm just going to read that. It's titled, "Why is Everything Gay?" Buckle up, because we're going down the gay rabbit hole. The CEI is the Corporate Equality Index. It is a woke credit score that judges companies based on how many woke issues they're posting. And then to get ahead of it, I said, well, what is woke? Because that's always the question. Well, you guys don't even know what that means. It's like, yeah, it's a presence. We all know what it means, but it says the word's co-opted from the Black community by gender activists, and it's been infected with this cultural war. It's been infected with neo-Marxism. That's what it is. So who made it up and who gives the score? So from my understanding, it's the Human Rights Campaign, HRC, sends lobbyists to these countries and it gives them a list of these demands. And if they do not comply with these demands, then the woke investors put pressure on the boards, activists are mobilized, advertising campaigns are shut down, they lose their funding, they lose their investors, they get threats. So anyone who continues to do business with them, these people, they get penalized as well, anybody who does business. So who's funding the HRC? There's a lot of different ones, and two of them are through George Soros companies. The first one's the Open Society Foundation, and the other one is like the George Soros Foundation or something. And this is something you can vet. You can look it up right now. So who runs the Open Society Foundation? Then I wrote, definitely don't Google that because we're not allowed to talk about that guy. He's the one we shall not talk of. So essentially, if you don't get a good score, the lizard god king of the world doesn't let your business exist. So this fake score is everywhere. It's controlling everything. It's coercion, and this is the despotic rot that is.
Bud Light doesn't care about their business. Yeah. So there's nothing. Bud Light doesn't care about making money.
Yes. So I agree. So what is happening now is it's demoralization. It's part of that denationalization thing that I was talking about earlier. This is the demoralization process. So what they do, they take an American institution like Bud Light, like Target, like Walmart, and they, like Tim had said, they infect it with this brain slug. Now, the idea is that people are just going to accept that. That's what they want you to believe. Like, no, we're just going to do this. This is the way forward. We're going to accept that. But that's not the truth, as you can tell by the stocks dropping and how much money they're losing. People aren't just accepting that. So that means that it's an American institution is going to fail. A prestigious American institution is going to fail before our eyes, and it's going to demoralize the country, and that's what it is.
It's Belgian now. It's owned by AB InBev, which is a Belgian company. So they essentially sold out. I'm trying to find out when Budweiser sold out to the Belgians. I can't find a year, but it's not an American company anymore. It has the red, white, and blue. Or has the red and white logo, and then Bud Light has the blue and white logo.
It's an establishment. It's at every 4th of July picnic. You know, it's Memorial Day.
It's an American institution, like an American icon that they're actually just taking down.
That they're just going to take it down.
The Belgians are using, and I'm not blaming all Belgian people, but this Belgian company is using it to trick people into giving them money to impact and invest on whatever they want, but they're letting the Budweiser brand fall apart right now. They don't care. You're right. They don't care because it's AB InBev. Yes. It's worth probably 1,000 times what Budweiser itself is worth, or something. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but it's just a drop in the bucket of their total brand.
I think people need to understand that the Constitution is meaningless to a culture that does not care for the Constitution.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It can say whatever it wants. It can say all of these really great things. And if the people behind what's happening with Bud Light and young people, when they get older, if they are the dominant cultural force, you will have soldiers in your homes. You won't have guns. You won't have speech. You won't have a right to a trial. You'll go to a trial and they'll say, man, you're guilty because we said so. Look at Donald Trump being found criminally liable of a 30-year-old insane story about how he went to a clothing store and had sex with a woman. Yep. And then she was like, oh, we found the one dressing room that was open, and then he had his way with me or whatever. And it's just, there's no evidence. Mm-hmm. There's no logic to it. Trump at the peak of his fame, walking with no security into a heavily populated department store and nobody notices or says anything. No one comes up to him, and then he finds an empty room. Like, this story is completely insane. But they still said, yep, confirmed. We are inching towards this point. Look at the January 6th defendants. There's a guy who's on video who's talking to the cops, smiling and nodding his head, and then ushering people out of the building. A Proud Boy. He got 12 years in federal prison, even though he was helping the police. They don't care. They will lie. Then you will be like, well, I'll go to trial. And then the jurors are all going to be sitting there waving their cult flags. And they're going to be like, we don't care what the Constitution says. We won. We will lock you up. And the cops will come to your house and say, I have a First Amendment right to speak. And they'll be like, none of that matters anymore. And then they'll crack you with the truncheon and throw you in the van.
Yeah, the problem with the U.S. Constitution is it's not adapted to the age of the internet. It's still reliant on before.
No, that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
It totally does, because mob mentality can spark overnight now with the internet, and that the Constitution can't stop it.
And no Constitution can stop it.
But
literally nothing.
But something that at least prevents people from controlling social media can allow us to stop it. But if we can't stop social media from muting our conversations, then no one can stop it. So we need free speech in that we need these systems to be free and open so that we can organize as the Constitution intended for us.
I agree to a certain I agree to a certain degree, but the issue is when the left started encroaching and enforcing these things, people on the right said, "I'm so scared, please just leave me alone." And they did nothing. Very few people. I mean, a lot of people did, don't get me wrong. Trump obviously rose up, he got elected. But I can't tell you how many, look, Bud Light, they only lost 30% of their sales. There are still people who will drink Bud Light or other AB InBev products. There are still people on the right who aren't going to do anything. And they're going to be like, I'd rather just keep my head down and not say a word. And so long as look, the problem is not that evil exists. It's that good men do nothing.
Yeah. I think people are waiting for someone else to fix the Constitution right now. And I'm open to rapid adaptation, but I'm also very concerned about rapid adaptation.
I don't want anybody in. I don't want to see another amendment added by this Congress. Like, even I'd even be worried about the Article 5 states convention. Like, at this point, I don't trust anybody. There's so many communists infiltrated into the government that if they added another amendment, God knows what it would do. I believe the way forward is the 10th Amendment. I believe that the way forward is like the courts that are corrupt. Those courts are in New York. Those courts are in D.C. There's a stranglehold there on these corrupt courts. I worry about what happened to Donald Trump because they could do this to Justice Kavanaugh now. They could make him guilty. Bud
Light needs to collapse. Yep. It's a big ask, but Bud Light needs to collapse completely to the point of it being a non-existent product, so that a message is sent that there is a red line that we will not cross. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they can capture institutions and then gut them, strip the resources, and people keep buying it, and they will just use it like a skin suit.
Yep.
Well, I was going to ask you, do you think that there will come a point where Anheuser-Busch is realizing that Bud Light's just draining everything, and to get rid of this, they just cut Bud Light loose, close the brand, and then just move on with something else? They'll still produce Bud Light, but under a different name.
Oh,
not by choice.
Yeah.
Once it's dead, it's dead.
Yeah, if people don't buy it at all. And so we're hearing more and more and more that people are not buying it. Sales are down 29.5%. That is insanely massive. That may be getting to the point where it's no longer profitable to produce.
Yeah. Well, it's no longer Well, and then it will take a turn when BlackRock and Vanguard don't have enough money to support these industries.
So I don't know. Like Anheuser-Busch, obviously, Bud Light is the biggest. Well, not anymore. They're not number one. Modelo is now number one in the United States, which is huge.
Great.
But let me tell you,
Love that.
We're making this coffee over at Cask Brew, and it is very, very difficult. We've invested $250,000 to start. We actually started with a little bit less, and then we keep having to put more money in. When we sell a bag of coffee, we do make a profit, but then we have to reorder that bag and we have to recycle the profits because we sold out so quickly. We have to order more coffee the next time, which consumes all the profits plus more. I would love to get to the point where we could sell cans of cold brew all over the country. Mm-hmm. The issue is that producing canned liquids, you need to order a lot of it. We had Seth Weathers here. He was saying, no, you can do it less. You could do it cheaper. Every company we've talked to about production, distribution, sourcing, and all that stuff, they've basically said it'll come out to about $5 for a can. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, that's a lot. Now, I understand you go to the gas station, it might be like $3.99 for a can of cold brew as it is. And the reason they get Starbucks will get that cost down is because they'll make 50 million cans, or maybe not 50, but like 10 million cans. And then if they make 10 cents per can, they're going to make enough profit for it to work for them. But for us, we cannot produce enough of this to get the price down that low. You make 1 million cans and you make $1 per can, you got $1 million profit, you can reinvest. Yep. For us, we can do a few thousand cans, which means in order to reinvest, we need larger margins, so we have to sell it for more. If Bud Light sales drop 30%, people need to understand this. It doesn't mean that they're going to be like, oh, well, we're still getting, if we sold 100 cans, per day, now we're selling 70. That might be their margin of profit. It might now go to the point where if they were making $1 per can of Bud Light, Losing $30 off each shipment might now mean that their profit is only $5 or none. They needed those 30 cans to generate the percentage, the profit margin.
Yep.
Volume matters. The more you sell, you'll make less profit in the long run, but you make enough profit to support the employees, support the business. If Bud Light drops down to like 50%, they're going to have to cut production. They're going to have to fire staff. And they're probably already getting to that point. And they're probably already at the point where they're now subsidizing Bud Light because not only are they not selling the stuff, they have to get rid of the old stuff, which costs money to dispose of.
Yeah, so that's called economies of scale, what you're talking about.
Yeah,
and so when you produce this stuff, and most of these companies, they forecast for an entire year. So they know exactly how much they're going to order at each quarter of each year. And so they're sitting here with all this stock on hand going, what are we going to do? Now, a lot of these companies moved into a just-in-time production systems, but it's really hard when you're working with, in massive scales to just go full just-in-time. And then what you're talking about with, especially with Bud Light, because it's a perishable item, they can't just send it to like a consignment shop. Like at the end of each season, clothing stores send that stuff to a consignment shop so that they can just sell it off, like TJ Maxx and stuff like that. Bud Light, they're giving it away because it costs more in logistics costs to send it back than it does to give it away. My background before I started doing this was in logistics, so this is kind of my area.
Let's go to the local level. John Rich, you know him, you love him, good dude, said that they replaced Bud Light simply because it wasn't moving. He didn't even frame it like we're boycotting. He was like, look, nobody bought it, so we need to get something else up there that we're going to sell because we need to make money. If you are a bar, and I'm sure a lot of people who watch are work at bars or manage bars or own bars, you know that if you order X amount of Bud Light, but only sell 70% of what you ordered, you're going to reduce your purchase substantially or just not buy it outright because you don't want waste. Not only that, but considering it's getting worse and worse for Bud Light, many bars or whatever might just be like, I don't want to buy it at all. Because even if we cut our sales down to 50% of what our normal order was, if tomorrow it gets worse, we're sitting on more dead product. Nobody cares about Yingling. People like Yingling. Nobody cares about Coors or Miller. Just buy that instead. Because I tell you this, someone's going to come in and then go, oh, I'll take a Bud Light. And you'll go, we got Coors. And they'll go, okay.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. So why take the risk? I think we are watching an epic collapse of Bud Light, and I don't know how far it'll go. They may have to raise the price. But how is that going to help them when they're already giving the beer away for free?
I could see them repackaging the actual liquid with a different brand.
Yep.
They would have to get it recertified, I think, because you can't, I don't know if you can sell the same product under a different name. You'd have to go through that. And then if people find out that it's Bud Light repackaged, they're going to boycott it again, so it's a risk.
This is what I've always thought about. I've always been kind of surprised at some of these major institutions like Anheuser-Busch and all these, like even Target and all these other stores, Nike, all this stuff, like that they've done so well as smaller brands have popped up. I mean, especially with beer, there's a craft brewery on every corner in America now. So I'm surprised that they've even been able to hold out this long because of the competition's there.
I wonder if they got bought by InBev in 2008. That was the Belgian company. And I wonder if they've been running it at like margins of like 1 cent per can the whole time.
It's probably microscopic.
Just keep brand awareness. It's just a brand awareness product. Maybe they're even running at a loss. I don't know.
So at that point, it becomes a financial institution instead of a production company.
I would be willing to bet that their profit per can is ridiculously low, a couple cents, if that. It could even be fractions of pennies. Like we sell 1 million cans, we make $100,000.
Well, they make it up somewhere too, because even like most people don't know, like McDonald's at one point, they would make 70% of their profit on their breakfast menu, and they would sell fries and drinks at a loss. And actually, a lot of stuff they would sell at a loss because they were making it. Actually, no, they would sell their hamburgers at a loss because the drinks made up for the loss.
You get people cheap Bud Light at a loss, then they become alcoholics, and then they'll buy your other stuff.
Yeah.
So check this out. I just Google searched what is the Anheuser-Busch profit margin, and it's 12.78%. So if their fixed cost is like $1 million, whatever, just a random number.
Yeah.
And they lose 30% of sales, they lose 30% of their profit. That may barely cover their fixed cost. I'll give you another example that's much easier to understand. This is what happened in Detroit. You have a hypothetical 1 million people live in Detroit. They say, we're going to build a water system that will cost everyone $100 per month. And everyone goes, oh, okay, $100 a month is really expensive, but we're going to get public access water. So now your water bill for your house is $100. It's probably way less. At the time it was probably like $20. Then half the population leaves. The water system still has to be maintained by the exact same people. Their salaries stay the same, but only half the people are paying the taxes now and the bills. What happens? The cost of water doubles. Then 250,000 people leave. Those who remain now have quadrupled their bills. This is what happened, and that's why what happened with Flint is that they were like, our water costs are so incredibly high, we're going to use Flint River water instead because it'll be cheaper. And then they had Legionnaires and a bunch of other nasty stuff in their water and chemicals or whatever. Lead that was from the pipes.
Wow.
But so the point is, if Bud Light says we have a fixed operating cost of $1 million, and for every can we sell, we get, a penny, we need to make $1 million plus whatever. If the profit margins drop down to a certain point, but the fixed costs to hire the people working the factory remain the same, they've got to raise the cost of beer, raising the cost of a product that people are already not buying. Then what's going to happen is someone's going to walk into a store who doesn't care, and they're going to say, I'll take a 20 pack of, I don't know, whatever you got, Bud Light. And they're like, that's $37. Whoa, what? 37? I thought it was $15.99. Like, well, the Modelo's $15.99. Give me the Modelo. Mm-hmm. They're going to be like, oh, Bud Light's more expensive now because less people are buying it, so they need to increase the margin so they can cover their fixed costs.
They actually wouldn't. I mean, they would be able to. They wouldn't do that because of that, because it's sitting right next to Modelo.
Yep, and they go out of business.
Yeah, immediately. So they'll have to figure out another way. The repackaging scandal is one way to do it.
Maybe that's why they're actually trying to lean back into the LGBT community because that's the only way that you can do it.
Yeah, they're going to be targeting.
If you can target that community. And honestly,
100% of the population.
They're like, do college kids care? That's where most of their profit comes from probably anyway.
College kids buy Natty Light because they're broke.
Yeah, that's true.
That's an Anheuser-Busch brand.
So what they could do, what they could do, this is what they do in like the clothing that's really lovely, right? They put a label on it and they say this is worth more money because it's Gucci. This is, and so people see the label and they're like, oh, so this could be some sort of rebranding. Like it's going to be more expensive, but they could start targeting it as like a brunch beer, or some way to target.
And maybe
Budweiser Gold.
But
yes, exactly.
It's made with love.
Budweiser got hit by like 12% as well.
Wow.
So, and all of the Anheuser brands got hit. Mm-hmm. What they might do is say, we've got fixed costs, we've got to sell. Look, if they change Bud Light to say like Natural Plus or something, they then have to go to all the distributors and say, carry this beer instead. That is an immense amount of work. They've got to get approval, which wouldn't be too hard for a massive company like Anheuser-Busch, but they've got to then switch out all their contracts from Bud to the new brand if they want to save it. Yo, if we wake up one day in a few months and Bud Light is done as a brand, that would be one of a tremendous culture war victory.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised
against the woke cult.
I think an AB in general is in trouble. I mean, did you see Harley Davidson threw them a lifeline last week? And they changed the cans of Budweiser to try to, drive some revenue. I think that would only drive Harley Davidson down.
Yep.
I'm surprised they did it.
Actually, I wonder what Harley Davidson stock is at. I bet it's fine, to be completely honest.
Again, I think a lot of people are still just looking at it as Bud Light.
It's stable. Oh, wait, no, it's down 2%.
So maybe they did it as a way to...
When was that campaign?
It was last
week, right?
Was it this last weekend?
I feel like it was.
Yeah, something like that.
I'll pull it up.
Let's make sure we get the day, because I might have something to show you then.
It could have something to do with their CEI too. Like, oh, we're going to work with this company that's,
Was it Friday?
It might have been.
All right, well, I'll just pull this up because
pull up the story maybe on
since Friday they've actually dipped 2.34%.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's a
that looks like, I bet you.
Right, there's a visual drop.
I mean, I'm just going to use some logic here, and I'm going to say that is when the campaign happened.
Yeah. But it's not apocalyptic because all they did was do a partnership can. Mm-hmm. And as of today, it's up like 0.2%. After hours is 0.2%. But since last Friday, so Friday, then Tuesday the 30th, it was at 33. It's dropped 2.34%. So its low was down, what was it, like almost $2-3?
It's down.
Yeah, their Bud Light's way down. It's
I want to
crazy how bad they
screenshot
are.
it and put like one of those progress flags, like right where it drops, and then be like, boom.
So we put it out on the 27th. So we put the article on the 27th. So yeah, it would have been Friday, Thursday, Friday.
So when people are reading the news, there it is, boom.
Yeah, that Tuesday, and that was yeah, bang.
Tuesday's when the drop.
This was and it makes sense because Monday was Memorial Day.
Yeah. Was there no stock trading on Memorial Day?
I think so. It goes Friday to Tuesday, so it drops right.
After.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's
right when people are back from the holiday.
It's the queer theory effect, boys and girls.
Wow. I call it the Bud Light effect.
I'm all about impact investment. If you do it right, this is just like a battle of wills because, like Tim, what you did with the Times Square banner, the Times Square billboards, that was impact investment. That didn't make the company any money necessarily off the top. It just brought brand awareness to what you want to bring.
But that's
brand
not
awareness
impact
to.
investment.
It's a form of it.
It's just.
You're right. It's advertising. It's not technically
if we
impact
put up
investment.
if we put up an ad that said something like woke is bad,
Yes.
that's an impact investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
We just put up billboards that was like, watch the show, it's great.
But even that, like using your own personal money or your company's money to promote things you like, I mean, that seems righteous on its heel. It's just a matter of if you like psycho stuff, then, maybe, do you think, should it be illegal for business owners to spend their business's money?
No.
I don't think so.
I think it should be illegal for places like HRC to create a woke credit score that people have to abide by if they want to compete.
Who's giving
wow,
HRC
look at this, look at
credence?
this.
No. So again, that's all based off BlackRock and Vanguard, who's running the ESG
and State Street.
scores,
Yep.
because that feeds into the ESG scores.
What is this?
Look at this shelf. So Friday, it's here.
Brutal.
And
It's a
then
cliff.
Tuesday, because of the holiday weekend, it dropped $2 right away. 5% down in 5 days.
It's funny. They didn't sell as much as they thought they would on Monday for the holiday, apparently.
Look at this. It's so bad. At the start of the year, they were at $60, and now they're at 53.
The power of the people, man.
and
Bud Light. It's going to keep going down. Like, I can't imagine anyone. Look,
What
when
happened
Bud Light
when
comes
it went
out,
up?
this
Only
was
way.
before. This was
it was
before.
before.
So you've got the summer months coming up. You've got great reports, and then March 31st is the day before Dylan Mulvaney. There was a quick sell. I remember when it went down, and here's what I think. I think people saw it go down and went, boycotts never work. I'm going to buy the dip. So it goes back up a little bit, and then it didn't stop. And now the people who are holding it are like, okay, we can't hold on to this. We got to sell it. There's literally no sane reason to hold on to a stock that is doubling down on why it's crashing, which is perhaps the woke don't care that they will destroy this company's stock, because Anheuser-Busch stock is not just Bud Light. Bud Light is one product out of hundreds. But this company has said, we know you're angry. What did the CEO say? We didn't want to be involved in a conversation that was divisive. Let's give hundreds of thousands of more dollars to more of these organizations. They know they are ripping their country to shreds. So if someone's still holding the stock, that's the definition of insanity. The internet definition of insanity. They are holding their hand to a glass top stove and going like, yeah, but give it a second. It'll stop burning in a second.
That's the sunk cost fallacy.
Well, I mean, look, at the top of this chart, if you were an investor and you paid attention to a show like this, and you went, what's this? There's a controversy with Bud Light. I'm going to sell all my stock. It's peaked. It's really high. And I'm going to buy a company that does beer that's not controversial. And you invested in, say, Coors. You are up 20%.
Yeah.
Or something like that. If you said, this will all blow over, you are down 10.84% this year. And from the peak, you're down way more. I think 15, it's probably more than 15 to be honest, because that's just the past month. And we're looking at 2 months. So you're down from 66 to 53.
Yeah, and that gap, it has to do with the initial sell-off happened. I think a lot of people thought that, there was going to be a pump of, ESG money into it to get them past the controversy, but the controversy never passed. And so now you're seeing the effect of the boycott actually taking place, because now it's like, hey, this isn't going away. We don't have enough money to save this stock. And so that's the difference between like sales and profit in companies and financial institutions of money of companies, because that's where the stock market and companies don't necessarily match up with, a stock price is not indicative of profits necessarily.
I imagine that they were feeling the shake of pain maybe there was an influx of ESG money for this first month, but that they were realizing for the first month what they're going to have to cut. Like everything is falling now. So, and then you don't start to see it. You know, they tried their best to kind of mask it with rebuys of stock and stuff.
In the past 6 months, Target is down 20%. In the past 6 months, Walmart is down 3.79.
So something's interesting because you brought something up that's really interesting. You said, look at this first dip, and then it's like, oh, but then they said boycotts don't work.
Yep.
So that's interesting because do Target, do
Nope.
they have, they don't? Okay, so that came afterwards. So I wonder if they're like, okay, boycotts work now.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you take a look at this. You look at Target, and right around the time the controversy started, May 17th, from 160 all the way down to 130, $30 off their share price, and there was no dip.
Yep.
So New York Mag wrote this article, and they said, when I heard about the Bud Light boycott, I said, it's not going to work. It never works. And then it did. And now people are scared, like, uh-oh. Why? There's no one here and no one online can give me a legitimate reason as to why you would intentionally hold a stock facing a massive controversy when you can, with a swipe of your phone, sell the stock, buy any other company not controversial, wait, and then buy it back later on if you really wanted to.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Nothing. It doesn't make sense at all. So I can only imagine there are people who are holding on to the stock for AB InBev who don't really pay attention and have a diverse portfolio, and they're like, stocks go up and down. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's a really great point you made that Target doesn't have the rebuy, people buying the dip because people are like, nope, I'm getting out of this.
Exactly. I think people are waking up, and the fact that the stocks are is incredible.
I wouldn't be surprised if come next week, AB InBev is in the 40s. And then
welcome it.
Imagine being down 30 some odd % on the stock that you bought and still thinking that you can hold. It's like a gambler's fallacy almost.
I think you're right, though, is most people, when they put their stuff in like mutual funds and all that stuff, they're not thinking about that. And their investor is doing it. So
why is my 401k going down?
What's going on? And so you have to go look and see what your mutual funds are invested in. If they're invested in Anheuser-Busch, you might want to go tell your... But that would also be possibly a lawsuit against, the financial institution that's holding the mutual fund because they're not completing their fiduciary duty to get out of a bad stock.
I think there's serious lawsuit potential.
Yeah.
There are safeguards in place for stockholders, and the institutions may be captured. Bud Light, AB InBev may be captured by woke psychopaths, but there is still a mechanism to defend those from someone. It could be really simple. It could be using wokeness to intentionally destroy a company for some reason. And I wonder this: who has shorted Bud stock? Because when here's what I think: when I see Bud Light say we're going to sponsor more Pride events and give more money, I'm like, okay, who at that company told a friend to buy put options? Because they're like, hey, we lost 30% because of this, and then someone goes 30%. Of your sales?
That's a lot of put options.
So this boycott's huge. So what do you think? In a week, you could lose 10% if you did it again. It could be a 10% drop. I'll put $100,000 in puts, and then you do it again. Boom, we get a 10% return. I would be investigating that, but of course the DOJ is fairly woke. They probably won't, but I'm willing to bet someone somewhere bought put options on Bud because. We were talking about this before. We were like, man, we read the news all day, every day. Why don't we invest in what we talk about? Because we knew this was happening before it happened. And I was like, I don't know. I think the stock's going to drop. And it was fine. People were buying the dip. I could have bought a bunch of puts and been like, oh, yeah, I bought, but I didn't. I don't do any of that stuff. But I wonder how many people watching probably did. How much money did they make?
I have a very important question. Is the Paul Pelosi stock tracker back on Twitter? Because that is where all of our answers lie, my friends.
I think there is a woke index.
Okay, yes.
So there's
someone go check that and put it in the super chats.
There'd been a lot of people have been pointing out that companies that embrace wokeness are not going to make money because they're embracing ideology over meritocracy. So there have been people who have targeted these companies to short them because they're like, if they outright publicly say they care more about ideology over actually being a company, they're going to lose a ton of money.
It's like GameStop, but not, because it's not like they're not intentionally tanking the stock. It's interesting. I was the same way. I thought that this was going to just blow over, but I think you know, it is the fact that Bud Light is perishable. It will have a bigger impact because when the whole scandal with Alta happened, well, one that was targeting women who tend to be more forgiving on these types of things, but the stock tanked for like a week and then it skyrocketed. And I thought Bud Light was going to do the exact same thing when it came to, again, like the Vanguards and stuff like that, pumping money into it. But when it didn't, you're absolutely right. I think you're a fool if you don't get out of it now.
I absolutely love having Sara here to talk about logistics. Everybody should go follow her because I don't know anything about logistics.
I am not giving anybody advice or telling them what to do with their stock because, you know, I don't know.
I don't trade stocks individually either, so
Not at all.
I'm not very good at it.
I do recommend you do find Paul Pelosi's portfolio though.
True. Yeah.
So what's going on? We got more tweets coming from Elon Musk. I'm getting a bunch of messages.
Oh yeah. I am too.
What's going on? Elon said commenting and deliberate sharing will be allowed. Sensitive content just won't be pushed to people unless they ask for it or a friend sends it to them. Interesting.
That's interesting.
But why don't they? I mean, if that's the case,
I guess he's trying to keep everybody happy.
But what he should do is they should push it like they normally do every other tweet, and then just put the content warning label that you have to click show. That covers your bases.
Elon just tweeted a few minutes ago, I will be actively lobbying to criminalize making severe, irreversible changes to children below the age of consent. Shame on those who advocate this. It is utterly contemptible. Very weird goings on right now.
Yeah. Well, he was when he talked about the gendering, he's like, I personally will gender you whatever you want, just as a term of respect. But then when it comes to kids, like he's like, you know, you're all going down.
Yeah.
We're sure it's Elon Musk.
That's his hard line.
We're sure it's Elon Musk, not Elon Musk Press. Very, very likely it's Elon Musk Press, you know?
No, it's Elon Musk.
Yeah,
I get it because it's got a little symbol next to it.
That whole thing about children, he is dead serious.
Yeah.
We got to jump to super chats. So we'll start reading these. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show with your friends. We're gonna have a members only show. So go to timcast.com, click join us, and then we will talk more and take the questions from our members. All right, I'm not your buddy guy says, am I the a-hole for laughing at Biden falling? I mean, look at what he did to his kids, to your country. Hell, he sold your country for personal wealth. Oh, man.
You're not the only one laughing.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. It really is because he's a bad guy. But I can't bring myself to do it. I am not the kind of person who revels in something like that. You know, like if it was backfiring, if he did something and then the result of what he did caused him harm, I would be like, well, I mean, come on. Yeah. Like, you know, you threw a baseball at the wall, it bounced back and hit you. It's funny. It's like, you know, sorry it happened, but it's funny. Being an old man and falling over, I'm just not about that.
Yeah, I feel
like we're all going to get old.
I feel really sorry for him and bad for him. And I mean, I'm also a woman, so I have more empathy and emotions, and I shouldn't be voting. So this is why this is an example because of my emotions are like I feel so sorry for him. Like I wanted to give him a hug, and I hate this man.
Yeah, I think that there's a difference too because I think he went from being this bad guy his whole career for a politician, which all politicians are pretty much bad guys, but I think there's a point now where he is the victim. He's the victim of elder abuse in a lot of ways. They're pushing him to do this.
I find him ambitious and not incapable. He's not incapable, but he's on his way to incapability where he can't get out of the bed.
I mean, parts of his brain are still there. The parts that want to be doing this, I can tell he wants to do it. But at a point, people who love him need to say, you shouldn't be doing it.
What do you think, 30 to 60?
For what?
35, I think, is the age for presidency. So 35 to 65.
Yes, perfect.
65. I mean, the age of retirement's a good age.
Just
I think.
test grip strength. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, 30 to 65. Retirement age.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say 30 to 65. 35 to 65.
Aaron S. says, Twitter doesn't surprise me. I was banned from Twitter for impersonating William Shakespeare. Can't say I'm surprised about that.
That is awesome.
Wow. Defiant Blackout says, someone said there was a child for him to sniff in that direction. He got ahead of himself. Aha. One other person, Nigel says, Twitter doing this doesn't surprise me. I was banned for a GIF. The left doesn't Patrick Bateman. What was that? Holden pointing out Twitter's director of
meme or something.
Trust and Safety just resigned. Crazy. Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, happy month before MAGA month. It's American Greatness Month. In a short 30 days, friends, we will be celebrating MAGA month. The bestest month of all the best months. Everyone says, so 31 days of barbecues, family and beers, not Bud Light. We don't like Bud Light. So I'm really excited for MAGA month, man. But this is American Greatness Month. So we celebrate the American flag. We put the American flag everywhere. And then on MAGA month, you got to change all your profile pictures to little American flag pictures.
I like the American Greatness Month. I am so done with Pride, even as somebody who's in the LGBT community, because it's just so taken over. It's taken over by the leftist that want to destroy the country. So we don't need a month. We have every other day, it seems. So we don't need it. And we don't need, I mean, representation is everywhere. So what are we even celebrating? Or what are we protesting?
You know what we need? We need
You tweeted that, right? The Navy? The Navy did the meme or something?
Oh, probably. That's something I would do.
It shows the fighter jets and the drones with rainbows coming out of them. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, when the military is like, our drone bombs are rainbows. Like, okay, we get it.
I want to
The
know.
military is gay.
What are people?
War is gay.
What are people proud of? This is all about being proud. Is it just proud of who you are? 'Cause
Yes, that was the original message.
For me being myself is not enough to have pride. I need to do something good with this body.
Yes.
And I do feel like a lot of people would be deeply offended even if you were proud of yourself.
Yeah. What right do I have to be proud of sitting here?
Just kidding.
Do it.
You know what I think when I see the rainbow? Because it's God's covenant with the people. I think it's like they're putting it in their face. They're like, look we're going to do this and God's not going to flood the earth. It's almost like, here's our rainbow. No one's flooding the earth now.
You know, it
in
yeah.
your face. Yeah.
I think it's funny the bring on the flood memes.
Yep.
It's like a subreddit, like
I've seen
what is
those.
it called? Noah get the boat or something like that.
Yeah, Noah, and then it's like get the boat, and he's got lit up eyes, and it's zoomed in on him.
Get the boat. Well, Seamus, I think, said the most brutal thing ever. He said if God doesn't smite the United States, he owes Sodom and Gomorrah an apology.
Ooh,
I know. I was
Seamus
like,
has
wow,
bangers.
that's a quote. That's a dark quote. I don't know if that's blasphemous. All right, we'll
brilliant.
grab some more super chats. What do we have over here? Monk in Training says he tripped on the floor. A couple people have pointed this out, that it looks like there is a bump or something, or a carpet, or
It looks like some kind of sandbag, but why would there be a sandbag?
There was no sandbag.
Unless the sandbag was propping him up initially. I mean, is that a...
I've seen some images. I was tweeted some images that show it's just flat.
Okay, so what is that black thing?
I don't know. I don't know if you're even like looking at that and it seems like it's closer than it is. It's really difficult to tell from the video.
That's interesting, yeah.
Kevin Simmons says, to have a stream of content for the coffee shop, perhaps an aggregating software and autoplayer is needed, like an RSS feed for video autoplay. Do you have a plan for that, or does it need to be developed? It's actually not that difficult. We would just curate a playlist of the day's shows. Yeah. And then even, this is fantastic. I'm really excited, and I hope we kick this off, because imagine we just have a schedule for the different shops. So we'll have our coffee shop, and then we'll have the franchise agreement, which says we will send you a list of shows to play on the TVs, or we create our own feed, which we then load the playlists into. So all you have to do is turn the TV on, and then at what Crowder does 10 a.m. right? 10 a.m. live.
Yes.
Every time someone, like, it's that simple. Crowder's at 10 a.m. We go through a live stream schedule of everybody's shows. So just like TV, you will come in and you will see a certain show. And then for times when there's nothing live, we can do a program where it's like, we will show James O'Keefe's latest reports or whatever, OMG. And then what happens is, it's very, very simple. John Smith walks into the coffee shop and says, yeah, I'll take let's do a mocha latte, and I'll get a croissant. And then he's sitting there waiting for the latte. They hand him the croissant, and he's like tearing off a piece and munching, and he looks up at the TV, and there is, Viva Frey, and he's saying, this is the original video that was posted by, what's the guy's name? Anthony Bass, the baseball player?
I don't know.
Here's the baseball player who apologized and says he needs to be re-educated. And here's what he said. And the guy's sitting there going like, oh, I didn't know that. Then that dude goes to work, and he sees his buddy at the water cooler, and he's like, how's it going, Jim? He's like, hey, John, how's it going? He's like, what's up with you? No, nothing. Yeah, would you get a chance to check out the game? No, I didn't. But did you hear about that baseball player who's apparently apologizing for something? Mm-hmm. Those conversations will exist because throughout the day, people are seeing that content. Mm-hmm. So we're creating physical vectors by which people will consume all of our content, and it will create massive cultural influence. Perfect. The best coffee shops, everyone agrees.
Yes.
I'm excited.
A coffee shop.
Yeah.
Insert name here says, Tim, the world actually ended in 1998 when The Undertaker threw mankind 3 stories during Hell in a Cell. Interesting. You know, I heard that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Purple says, CBC running ads before Timcast, but I'm loyal to Cast Brew. Go Nuggets. We're going to do commercials. The only promotion we have for Cast Brew is this show, but we're going to sponsor other shows. We're going to do ads. We have commercial ideas. My commercial idea is just a guy, like you're going to love it, okay? It's a guy and he's sleeping, and then all of a sudden you see Roberto Jr. on his nightstand like crow, and he wakes up and shakes, and he's like, and then he like cowering, he like gets up and he hurries with like bags under his eyes to the kitchen, and he's shaking, and then he's scooping coffee into the bag, and then he looks around, and then all of a sudden you hear the scream again from Roberto Jr. He goes, I'm making it, I'm making it, and then he pours the coffee, and then it's going, and then Roberto Jr.'s like staring at him, and then he pours the coffee, and then he's looking, and he starts drinking it, and then all of a sudden Roberto Jr. gets real close, and goes, I'm drinking it, and then it just says, buy Cast Brew coffee. Like that's the only message. So just like a guy being terrorized by a rooster, I just think is really funny.
That's a good one.
I would buy that coffee so hard.
We have a bunch of funny ideas too. We're just going to make really weird videos so that people are like, what did I just watch? And that's kind of the point. So you remember, like, I saw this weird commercial. It's coffee, I guess.
That's what makes people remember.
Yeah.
It is. Actually, they show like the most memorable like Super Bowl ads are the ones that
Make people laugh.
like that have nothing to do with the actual idea. It's like at the end it's like Nissan. You're like, what does that have to do with Nissan?
Yeah. And then like after the guy's all terrorized, just plays like really light elevator music or whatever. And it's like, like castbrewcoffee.com, like promo code.
Ironically, Budweiser used to be the king of that.
Oh yeah, they had the frogs.
Yep.
The many good ones.
Yep.
Tom Wolf says MAGA versus I've fallen and I can't get up. Oh, that was mean. Poor Biden.
Oh.
But to be honest, we should tell people about that. But I do think you'll win more friends by not being mean about it. Like if you go to someone and say, look, did you see that video of the dude falling over? Like, and if they say, oh, but he just tripped, it's no big deal. I was like, okay, come on, man. He fell up the stairs several times. He's fallen several times. Like, let's be real about the man's health. He is not ready for this. Take anybody else. And I would say to people who are like, I hate Trump and I hate Republicans, I'd be like, okay, vote Buttigieg. Like, I got to be honest. Like, if we can't agree on politics, can we agree that Biden can't do this anymore? Vote for Kamala. You like Kamala? I don't like her. You can like her, but please not Joe Biden. It's sad now. Yeah. It's just too
I
sad.
agree.
Yeah. He's like a low-hanging fruit at this point. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Let's grab some more super chats. Lucy Lou says, look at the bottom of Biden's shoes, special grip sole shoes.
Yeah, it's true.
Is that true?
I mean, it's like a lot of like modern dress shoes have like a grip pattern underneath them now, so it's not really like he has special shoes on. Yeah.
Maybe it's to prevent him from sliding down an airport ramp. Can't have that.
Yeah, I wonder if he's
walking gingerly down the airport ramp. That's wet. And
another. I think he might have twisted his left foot. Like his left foot didn't turn because it has such strong grip, and then he twisted and fell
That's
forward.
possible, yeah.
I was legit worried he was going to break bones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing, a lot of people who break hips, elderly people who break hips, they actually break the hip before they fall, and that causes them to fall.
Really? Like their hip
Yes.
just cracks.
Their hip just like breaks. It's osteoporosis, at an old age, and that's what happens. Yeah, so that's I was talking to somebody who works in that.
Considering what happened when Joe Biden was grabbing his dog's tail after getting out of the shower.
Yeah, the hairline fractured his foot.
Hurt his leg.
Reading about it right now.
Yeah, man.
He's okay, right? There's been has they've released a statement. Like, I mean, not that
I think they said he's totally fine.
No, the dog. No, I mean just after this fall. He got up. He seemed like after he was up, he was good, but
that.
The Lion says, you guys talking about states making their own money and asking why no one has, you should look into the goldbacks in Utah. It's legal tender. There are also regional local currency, Ithaca hours. Ithaca hours aren't very much in circulation these days. And I actually have a bit of the Utah Goldback. I have a bunch of them. They're cool. They're gold foil bills.
Yeah.
So there's actually, it's like 1/1000th of a troy ounce.
They gave some away at Freedom Fest last year, so I have a couple of them.
I got a stack.
Yeah.
They're
Do
like
more of that.
They're worth a couple bucks. I think they're worth like $3.
Yeah,
I've got like
like
a couple $100 worth. Ithaca hours. I always loved that story. Ithaca, New York printed their own currency. And it revitalized the community because people were able to trade with each other, even if US dollars weren't around. Yeah. When I visited there a few years ago, I asked some local businesses and they were like, oh yeah, like nobody uses them. And I was like, oh, that's sad. I guess because the guy who made it moved or something and nobody cared anymore. So there you go. Yeah, Coco Medetta says Utah's local currency, research Utah goldbacks. I've got some downstairs.
They're cool looking.
Yeah. Gold foil bills. Delamar says Ella Irwin has resigned from Twitter as head of trust and safety. What as woman got censored on release on the platform. That's right.
It was releasing today, so did it actually go live?
No, they're going to do it
It's up.
tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow?
No,
now?
it's up.
Oh, they put it. Yeah, Elon's tweet made
but
it sound like they were doing it tomorrow.
No, Jeremy Boring posted it.
Okay.
Did the Daily Wire posted it, and it got censored immediately.
Right.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Yeah, because Elon's tweets, though, they're not going to fix it till tomorrow, and it's only supposed to run for like 12 hours.
Okay,
though,
all
right?
right, I see. Yep. So hopefully they get their whole 12 hours.
Yeah.
Stuart Brown says Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1 of the Constitution says no state shall coin money or emit bills of credit.
What?
You want to Google it?
Yeah.
Druid Arrow says federal government gets paid through appropriations. States pay this to the federal government. States collect tax to support itself and then pay appropriations tax. People only pay excise as tax to the federal government. IRS is a sham.
Yeah, and the Fed.
Purple says sounds like Elon plays dumb. Very interesting. OMG Puppy says the new CEO won't start for a month or more. She's still wrapping up at NBC. Elon was in Shanghai, China today. I don't think he was in the room.
Well, they might have been on a call, and Elon was not listening when they were like, "Okay, we're going to do this. Everybody, everything's clear." Elon's there, but he's not present. That could have been possible.
Yeah, because everything's done over like Teams and Zoom and everything, anyways.
Yeah.
So.
In the room is a vague term.
Yeah.
Cove 12x12's 12 by 12 says, I want to see a deep fake of Trump's face on Keanu Reeves' body in the last scene of The Devil's Advocate. It would be the only honest creative piece we could see on the internet. Great episode, guys. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Nate Slocum says Bud Light is not free. $15 sale, then a $15 rebate is still a $15 sale. They're cheating the base sales numbers with giveaways. Exactly.
Wow.
They want to be able to say our sales are back up. So when they say it's down 30%, it's probably down 40 or more. I have too many people saying nobody's buying. We've had too many people go to local bars and be like the bars saying they don't sell it anymore.
Yeah.
So what's likely happening is there are people who don't care who are like $15 and you're going to give me $50 back right now. Okay, I'll do it. Then they can be like, aha, we sold beer. And then there's restaurants and other people who don't care, who just buy it, not paying attention, and are wondering why it's not moving.
Yeah, I was up in Michigan visiting family for my sister's wedding a couple weeks ago, and it was the same thing. Like, we would go into bars and everything would be out, and then Bud Light was full. Like, it was like all the other people can't keep up with the demand because of Bud Light.
Yeah. All right. Amenthi says, we got our shipment of lifeless gray Pride branded Skittles at my work today. Some bags say Black Trans Lives Matter. I'm so tired of this nonsense. So Skittles is still doing their white Pride Skittles?
The all white ones?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
didn't
only
know.
one rainbow matters.
So they're making white Pride Skittles.
Yeah, they always make the all white.
They are Pride Skittles,
Yeah.
and they're white. So they're white Pride Skittles.
Outstanding.
That's so weird.
It's because they have to do something during Pride Month
White
because they're
Pride
the Taste the Rainbow
Skittles.
every other month.
They've been doing this for a while. A lot of people pointed out that like you made white Pride Skittles, and it's kind of like a joke now, and they're still doing it apparently. Well, okay.
I thought they got rid of that within the first like month or the first
Yeah.
10 minutes of them doing it, you know? I mean,
Tetris says, Tim, I live in LA County and work in restaurants. Bud sales have dropped so much that we're no longer offering it for drinking, only used in the food. Let's stop buying it altogether. Why do you have it? I guess, you know what's going to happen? It's going to get labeled beer. They're going to get rid of the Bud Light branding. It's going to be called like stock beer, and it'll be sold at like discount outlets for $1 a case to just move it before it expires, and it'll be sold to restaurants as an ingredient. They'll be like, well, if you're doing like beer battering or, you know, any kind of beer ingredient here, just use this before.
Jeez, then you'll have to boycott the restaurant.
yeah, because even just to rebrand, that's another rebranding cost. So you have to get name recognition now out of your new brand. So you're never going to get it to where Bud Light was.
Ooh, this is big news. Will I Am says Yingling now available in the West. Some liquor stores, Wichita, Kansas, dropped Bud and now stocking Yingling. Drinking one right now. It's good.
Yingling's
beer.
good stuff.
Yeah, it's the America's oldest brewery. It's very big in like I think Pennsylvania area around here. Everywhere you go around here, that's like what everybody drinks.
Yep.
It's good. It's good. I'm not a big beer guy. You know. Thomas TJG says Starbucks Nitro cold brew cans only hold 9.7 ounces, not a full 12 ounce. There's a tiny object in the can to make it feel and look like a full can, probably how they cover the cost. That's the Nitro cartridge. And they probably it's
Correct.
yeah, so they want to do standard size cans, and to get the Nitro, they have to have the little cartridge so when you open it, it sprays the Nitro into it. That probably makes it a lot cheaper for them. But they're expensive. What are they, like $4 a can or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
That is not easy to do.
Yeah, that would be an example of when to take investment potentially for the coffee company. Because if you could raise $100 million and then sell the beer for $1 cheaper, and then just start the process, or not the beer, the coffee for $1 cheaper.
Well, I mean, it's not that. If we received like an order for 1 million cans, we would order the 1 million cans. So, but it's like getting to that point is hard. And right now we're an online store. So what we really need to do is we need our own coffee shop open so that we can start stocking our own products. It's under construction. There's a lot of work that's got to get done. We need, I mean, if we have a bunch of franchises and they're all selling the same product, then we're going to start moving a ton. We want to get the coffee in gas stations. We want to get it in local convenience stores. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Is there examples of the company spinning up, what'd you call them, where people open their own franchises without a base location? Like you don't need you could just open franchises all over without having a...
We have to create the protocols, the parameters, the strategies of the first location so we know what we want it to be. We want people to have a similar experience. We want people to be like, oh, let's go find a cast brew. Just like people say, where's a Starbucks? We want people to pull up their app and look for a cast brew. And we want to exude cultural influence. That's the plan. Maybe what we need to do is we need to find somebody who's like a high level regional director or manager at a big coffee chain who wants to launch a new project, and then have them just like start up the process and spin it up and create the protocol. And then we could have some, like once they create the general plan, the art, we could just have people start spinning up Caspers all over the place.
Yeah, people have been contacting me. They're ready.
I mean, let's do it. I don't know. Let's just get them going. It'd be great.
But they need parameters.
Well, we want, like, we want TVs in these places. We want it to be that people are getting exposed to this kind of content. So we need to build in the centralized hub the feed. So someone it's like, hey, open this URL on all the TVs or like on the computer and then plug in the HDMI and press play. And then we will have, like, every day we'll show you the list of shows we're going to be playing and things like that. So we can have a uniformed experience for people. That way, someone goes to Cast Brew and they're like, oh, Cast Brew sells this product. They know that they can go to any location and get the thing they like. We got to figure it out.
Free internet.
Okay,
Yeah,
find the correction on coining money. They can issue receipts or shoot,
Receipts?
I just lost it. Coupons. They can issue coupons.
But
That's
not
what it
money?
is. Not money, coupons. Yes, that was my mistake. I mixed that up.
How does that work? What's a coupon a state could issue?
I'm not sure. This is like, I'm having a lot of cognitive dissonance right now because I learned that they could, like, I've never fact checked it because I just learned that they could.
I would imagine it'd be like you could like use a coupon to claim gold or silver.
Yeah, something like that. I don't. I'll have to dig into it.
This is crazy. Sparky says a good example. When I bottle my homegrown hot sauce to give to friends and relatives, it's much cheaper for me to buy bottles of hot sauce and empty them than to buy empty bottles.
What? This world, man.
That's awesome.
Yep. But it's because they can erase the cost of the bottle if they can sell enough. Like if you're selling 100 million bottles of something, your penny profit turns you $1 million. You know what I mean?
It's like the variability of an empty bottle. The value of being able to put whatever you want into it is greater than the value of the product inside the bottle when you can only sell one thing.
So that's a good question. How many homebrewers are going to buy Bud Light at the rebate with the $15 rebate just to empty the beer out so they can put their homebrews instead of buying their actual?
No, yeah, there's going to be a bottling sales company now.
Yeah. At 0% markup because they're giving the product away right now. That's actually if you're a homebrewer, it's like go get Bud Light and just pour it out and put your stuff in it.
Sparky says when there are a lot of short positions on a stock, it props up the stock price because it creates a shortage of shares called a short squeeze. Interesting. But that's also a move intentionally done when someone's shorting a stock, right? Like if you know a group is going to try and short a stock, you can buy it up massively and then hopefully wait it out so they're forced to buy at a higher price. Yeah. Something like that.
Just like a way.
Yeah, did they do that they did something like that with GameStop, I think.
Yeah. There were a bunch of shorts on it, and then all of the meme buyers bought it up, driving the price up, and that just destroyed these firms.
Because it ruined their put options.
Yep.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they had to pay a ton of money out.
Yep.
Man. What do we got? Brian Infedge says, in League of Legends, LCS team CLG was sponsored by Bud Light. Doing BTS videos and they blundered a video berating the players called Bud Light beheading. Huh. I don't know. Digital Shade says, I bet Dylan shorted InBev. That'd be funny.
Did he short Nike too?
It's interesting. You know what I think it is? The thing about Bud Light is that it's a fast perishable product. The challenge with Nike is that people own things they're going to wear for years.
Yeah.
And so you're going to see them wearing it. They might not buy something now, but...
That's what, and when all that's even happened, I was like, I use like Born Primitive and other stuff for workout gear. I don't even use like these big companies for almost anything anymore. Alcohol, I buy local companies.
My big thing is a bank. I don't know. I'd love to get into like a local bank, but I've been at, I don't want Wells Fargo. I don't know if it matters, but that's where I've been for so long.
And then you have like companies like Alexico Athletica. They have leggings that you can put a gun in. So they have gun holsters in their leggings, which is pretty cool.
So many new companies coming out the last 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
And so why would you even support some of these big companies? I'd rather support the local guy.
Yeah. We got to figure it out, but we're gonna take over with Cast Brew Coffee. We've got some really cool stuff in the works. K-Cups are coming, and we've heavily invested a lot, and we're getting to the point where it's like, okay, we got to start making that money back, because just putting money into it, so it needs breathing room. I do think it's possible if we found somebody who had experience with national level franchising and product sales and stuff like that, that we could, with the size of our audience, instantly have a very, very big product. And but for the time being, where we're at is we order some, we sell it, we order a little bit more, and we're trying to find that point of equilibrium. So with that being said, we're about to go to that members only show. Smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and head over to timcast.com, click join us to join the Discord server and talk with like-minded individuals and hang out in our members-only uncensored show, which will be on the front page in a few minutes. You can follow the show at Timcast IRL. You can follow me personally at Timcast. Sarah, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, just follow me at YouTube. It's just youtube.com/Sarah Higdon. Rumble's the same, rumble.com/Sarah Higdon. Sarah Higdon with an underscore on Instagram and Twitter. And yeah, and then go check out the Post Millennial, obviously, and check it. And I'm doing Freedom Fest this year, so that's coming up in July. So go get your tickets. It's gonna be in Memphis this year.
Cool.
All right, you can find me, Josie the Redheaded Libertarian, at TRHL Official on Twitter. I do a lot of different stuff, but that's really the place that I hang out the most. And you should tune into my spaces when I do those. There's some big things coming up.
Follow me at Ian Crossland at iancrossland.net, anywhere else. And special thoughts and prayers for Jamie Foxx. Love you, man. Keep well. Breathe easy. We got you.
And you can see me arguing with Groypers on Twitter and help me out because I'm not a fan. So I'll see you guys around. It's at Serge.com.
We will see you all over at timcast.com in a couple minutes. Thanks for hanging out.